I'm breaking up there.
Four of them are green, and the gap from first to last is a full $900 wide.
And towering over everyone right now is Siddharth Pradeep, rank 1 with 318 locked in. He's planted a giant green flag on this leaderboard and dared the rest of the field to come take it.
We're 230 plus minutes into the window. Tournaments usually slow here, but Siddharth is sitting on 318. One more strong push, and he's flirting with that 500 big win threshold on day one alone.
Behind him, Shebin T. Shaji in second at 195.75, playing the long game. This is classic tournament pacing. Not chasing the comet in front, just making sure you finish day one deep in the green.
Karthika Suresh in fourth at plus 56.5. Barely more than a nice dinner for two. But on day one of 11, that's actually elite behavior. Green, alive, and not trying to cosplay a hedge fund.
Then we've got our first warrior in the red, Roshan Palin from the US at minus 116.3. Moderate risk tag, day trading style. But this start says he's been taking some serious shots at the market.
And at the very bottom, Chanukya Varma Dasetti from the US, day trader, also tagged moderate risk, sitting on a brutal minus 553.05. He has already crossed the big loss threshold on day one.
Remember our thresholds. Plus 500 counts as a huge win. Minus 500, a disaster. And symbol PnL over 300 is a monster line. Siddharth is the only trader even approaching those regions from the green side right now.
For Shebin at 195, this is the dream spot. Second place, solid cushion, and nowhere near tilt territory. A couple of clean trades, and he could slam through that 200 mark and put real pressure on Rahul for that chase position. And Chanukya Varma, deep at minus 553, has only two choices. Lock it in and live to fight another day, or load up one more time and try to flip a minus big loss into the craziest comeback this tournament has ever seen.
If Siddharth fires off just one more big green trade and shoves that PnL towards 400, he doesn't just stay in first. He forces everyone else to start thinking in $500 swings, right at the danger line.
We are heading into the final stretch of this session, with Siddharth in command, Rahul and Shebin hunting from below, and two US day traders already bloodied. Buckle up, because one eruption in these last 159 minutes could rewrite this entire day one storyline.
Time check in the Dayrade elevator. We're almost 4 hours past the open, just over 2.5 hours left, and the day one storyline is crystal clear. One trader is in command, the rest are hunting for a way back.
318 on day one is not a casual stroll. That's a full sprint, every click so far converting into yardage. And the clock says Siddharth still has plenty of runway to push this even higher.
But plus 205 is no joke. Shebin is one clean surge away from turning this into a drag race for P1. And with this much time on the clock, that kind of move is absolutely on the table.
The funny part is, plus 189 would usually make you feel like the main character, until you look up and see two different people ahead of you on the same green team photo. Karthika Suresh at plus 80.5 is that classic middle seat. Too good to complain, too far back to brag. Just quietly hoping the leaders do something stupid. Minus 116 with a moderate risk label is basically the market writing, "Nice try" on your forehead. Could be worse, but you definitely felt that slap.
But the real damage report is at the bottom. Chanukya Varma Dasetti, US day trader, also stamped moderate, currently buried at minus 640.8. That is a full-on crash landing for day one.
That's our first official over-the-line blow-up of the tournament. Crossing the minus 500 big loss marker on day one is the kind of hole that echoes through all 11 days.
6 traders in the lobby, 2 deep in the red, 4 printing green, and the gap from first to last is almost a full 1,000 points. That is a massive spread for the very first day of an 11-day gauntlet.
If Siddharth can push this lead into that 500 zone before the bell, it's the day one equivalent of running up the score, sending a message to every other trader that the bar for victory sits way, way higher than they expected.
For Roshan and
At minus
Chanukya Varma at the
640.8,
bottom,
every extra
mission
click
has
from Chanukya
changed.
Varma is
it's
basically
no
bonus
longer
footage.
about winning day one.
Either a legendary
It's
rescue
about
mission
damage
or a
control,
how not to trade
shrinking that
tutorial in the
drawdown
making.
so the rest of the
Zoom out on
tournament
the
is still
dashboard.
winnable.
Leader at
Buckle
plus
in.
318.
2.5
Mid-pack
hours to
cluster
the
between
close
plus
on
80
day
and
one.
plus 200.
6
Bottom,
traders,
crater
one
past
roaring
minus
leader,
600.
one
And we still
massive
have
blow up, and a
156 minutes
whole
of
lot of
tradable
room for
chaos left.
somebody to launch a heroic
Late in the
comeback
New York
or
session,
trigger
the
another
Dayrade
spectacular
elevator
meltdown.
rolls on. 6
At the
traders
top,
still in the
it
arena,
is all
and that
about
leaderboard
Siddharth
is starting to look
Pradeep,
like a one-man
plus
summit attempt.
318 on the board,
318
rank
might be
1,
shy of the
and
500
just
mega win
bullying
line,
this
but
lobby
at this stage
like
of day
it's his
one,
home
that's like
field.
sprinting a lap ahead of the pack.
Chasing in
Every
second,
tiny wiggle
Shabin
now feels like it
Tishaji
could be the
at
shove
plus
into that big win zone.
200.13,
But
close enough
200
to
bucks
dream
on
of a
day
late
one
surge,
is no
far
joke.
enough behind that every
Shabin is the
decision
only
now
one even in
is a coin
striking
flip
distance.
between glory
One clean
and
push, and we've got a proper
FOMO
duel for that
disaster.
number one
And
slot.
right behind,
Rahul
Rahul
at plus
Davis holding
189 is
P3
that
at
classic
plus
trader mood.
189. Just a few
Happy but
ticks
not
behind
happy enough
Shabin.
to stop clicking.
This is a photo finish
That's
waiting to
exactly
happen
when the
if
market
either of
usually
them
says,
slams size into the
"Oh, you
blue.
wanted excitement?"
Down in fourth,
83
Kartika
bucks
Suresh
might look
at
small
plus
next to Siddharth's
83.5.
318.
Green,
That's a
steady,
full
not
scoring drive
spectacular
on day one.
yet.
If
On
Karthika
day one
keeps
of
stacking
11,
those,
that kind of
we could see a
controlled
slow
start
motion
can
climb
quietly
into the
build
metal
into a
spots
tournament run.
later this week.
Then we flip the board and meet
Minus
Roshan
116
Palan from
is
the
that
US.
danger zone, where
Moderate
every
risk
tiny
day
bounce
trader
looks
at
like the
minus
comeback. This is
116.3.
exactly where overtrading turns a bad
Apparently
Tuesday
moderate now
into a
means
horror
only
movie.
triple-digit
And
red.
at the bottom of
Minus
the ladder,
649.8 on day one is
Chanukya
not just a
Varma
drawdown.
also
That's a
US,
lore entry.
day
The
trader,
kind of number that makes
moderate
risk managers appear in your
sitting on a
dreams
heavy
holding
minus
spreadsheets.
But hey, when you're already
649.8,
past the big loss
far
marker,
beyond the
every
500
trade from
big
here
loss
is a Hail
threshold,
Mary.
deep into
If Chanukya
legendary
Varma
pain
ever catches a
territory.
monster reversal,
We are
that leaderboard will light up like a
237 minutes
stadium
past the
scoreboard.
opening bell, with only
That ticking timer is brutal.
153
Just over
minutes to the
2.5 hours
session
left. You
close
can almost
and
hear the
tournament
hotkey
window
warming up as
end.
these traders decide.
Every new
Protect the
position
PnL
now
or
is
send it
being
and chase that
placed against the
$500
clock,
highlight clip.
not just the chart.
For Siddharth,
Meanwhile,
this is dream
Shebin at plus
territory. Top spot,
200.13 has the classic
comfortable
dilemma.
cushion, and all the
Chill and
pressure
lock
on
in
everyone
second,
else to do something
or chase
crazy.
Siddharth
He
and
can
potentially
sit back,
speed run
pick his
straight into
spots,
Roshan's
and let
neighborhood on
the
the
others
board.
gamble their
For
way
Rahul in
into his
third,
personal
this
blooper
is the
reel.
perfect
Remember,
ambush angle.
the volume spike line
He's
is
close
just
enough
1,000
that
shares.
one big symbol
Anyone who
move
starts ripping
over
size above that into the
$300
close
of
is basically
PnL,
firing
the
signal flares on
threshold
the
for a
event feed
standout
saying,
play,
watch this,
could vault him
something
straight
dumb
into
or
the
genius
title
is about to
conversation
happen.
for day
And with the
one.
big win
Of course,
bar
the same
sitting
line
at
works
plus
in reverse.
500,
One
we
badly
are
timed
one
all in and you're not
well-timed
chasing a
breakout
500
away
gain.
from our
You're
first
auditioning for a
true
500
monster
loss
of the
highlight under
tournament.
what not to do training
Who's going to
videos.
step up
This is the
and
beauty
swing at
of
that
day
milestone?
one.
Buckle
3
in.
traders
Siddharth
green,
defending the
3
throne
traders
at
red.
plus 318.
No one over the
Shabin
500
and
peak
Rahul
yet.
stalking from
The
behind.
entire tournament arc
Karthika
is still
quietly in
wide
the
open,
green.
but the tone
Roshan
is being
and
set
Chanukya
right
Varma
now by
swinging
how
from
they
the
play
basement.
these final
This closing stretch
153
is where
minutes.
heroes and memes are made.
Mid-session on day one, 6 traders in the arena, and the board has hardened into a clear story of 1 leader, 1 chase pack, and 2 traders deep in damage control.
At the top of the tower is Siddharth Pradeep with 318 on the board, planting a flag on rank 1 and daring anyone to come pry it out of his hands.
318 PnL on day one with 150 minutes left is wild. Every new position Siddharth takes now feels like juggling live grenades over the leaderboard.
Remember the thresholds here. A single $500 swing would count as a certified big win, and Siddharth is already more than halfway there on the day.
That means the current PnL lead from Siddharth is already bigger than a single big win candle. This is scoreboard pressure and neon lights for everyone beneath him.
Shebin only needs about $110 to catch Siddharth. That's literally one clean above threshold symbol move, and suddenly rank 1 is under siege.
If Shabin fires off a single $500 monster and clears that big win line, we're talking instant highlight reel and a potential slam dunk flip of the leaderboard.
Rahul at 189 is in that awkward spot where you're doing great but still have to watch two other PnL bars pretend they're the main characters.
Kartika Suresh on rank 4, just above 100 at 101.5, quietly positive. This is the classic slow and steady arc that can explode later in the tournament.
For Kartika, a clean $300 symbol run would smash that symbol PnL threshold and catapult her right into the podium conversation from the middle of the pack.
$100 on day one is that PnL where your friends ask how the tournament's going and you answer, yeah, I'm existing. Minus 116 with moderate risk is that special place where your losers aren't catastrophic, just consistently annoying.
For Roshan, a single $500 big loss size mistake from here would slam him way past the danger zone and turn rank 5 into a full-on free fall.
That's not just a dip, that's a full elevator shaft plunge. Chanukya Varma has smashed through the $500 big loss line and kept going, almost 200 past it.
The scary part is, from negative 700, one more huge red candle and Hanukya's not just last. He's building a crater that echoes for the rest of the 11-day tournament.
The contrast is stunning. Siddharth at plus 318 and Chanukya at minus 703.8. A spread of over $1,000, separating first from last on just the opening day. Day 1 of the Dayrade elevator is deep in the afternoon. 6 traders on the grid, and the leaderboard has a brand new king sitting on top of the pile.
Siddharth Pradeep has stormed his way to first with 318 in PnL, planting a massive green flag at the top of this ladder.
318 on day 1, with the big win bar set at 500, means Siddharth is one clean shot away from dropping a signature play on this tournament.
You can see it on the dashboard. Every tiny flicker in Siddharth's PnL bar feels lethal now. One bad candle and that 318 could snap in half. One good push and he's flirting with a 500 nuke line.
Right on his heels, Shabinti Shaji with 201. This is a proper chase. Less than $100 separates first and second. That is one strong trade away from a photo finish flip.
And look at third, Rahul Davis at 189, just $12 behind Shabin. That's literally a couple of ticks on a mid-cap. One small scalp and second and third swap places in a blink.
Rahul at 189 has to be thinking, I did all that work to be $12 behind second and barely over 100 behind first. This isn't a lead. This is a participation trophy with delusions of grandeur.
Crossing triple digits on day 1 is no joke. Kartika has put real points on the board. And one strong push from here, and she's suddenly contesting that top 3 highlight reel.
With the tournament stretching across 11 days, these early numbers aren't just bragging rights. They're psychological weapons for the grind that's coming.
Down in 5th, we've got Roshan Palan from the US. Day trader, moderate risk, sitting at minus 116.3, aka the market's modest reminder that it doesn't care about your strategy PDF. Minus 703 with a moderate risk tag is wild. That's not an elevator ride, that's a base jump without a parachute and a very optimistic trading plan.
And the danger now for Chanukya Varma is mental. Down 700 this early. Every tiny flicker of green can tempt a revenge click. One more oversized entry trying to teleport back to zero.
No events on the tape right now, but that silence is deceptive. The closer we get to the closing bell, the more desperate those who are red will become. And desperation is where the real explosions live.
We've got 147 minutes left. Big win and big loss both flagged at 500, and not a single trader has cracked that line yet. This endgame is screaming for a breakout moment.
Top 4 all green, bottom 2 deep red, the clock ticking down. This is the moment where discipline and tilt collide, and the next wave of trades will decide who ends day one as a legend and who becomes a cautionary tale. We are past the halfway mark on day one. 6 traders locked in, and the Dayrade elevator leaderboard has a brand new architect sitting on the top floor.
Plus 318 for Siddharth. Rank 1 secured. For now, he has spiked the ball right on the leaderboard, and the rest of the lobby is staring up at that number like a stadium scoreboard. Shabin is that classic contender in the tunnel, plus 224. One clean drive away from shoving the door open and walking right into rank 1. This is a proper 2-horse race now.
For Rahul, this is danger time. Because sitting flat while the top line prints 300 plus is like watching someone else score on every possession. You feel that urge to hit the gas, and that's where things get wild.
Karthika at plus 131 is the stealth threat. No fireworks, just steady gains. And with one strong push, she can turn this into a 4-way brawl for that day one crown.
Minus 116 isn't disaster movie material yet, but it is that awkward zone where every new trade feels like either redemption or a sequel no one asked for. And anchoring the table, Shanukyavama Dasetti from the US at minus 780.3, also moderate risk. Apparently the risk setting is moderate, the pain setting is absolutely maxed out.
No single trade on the board has hit that 500 plus monster win line yet, but the compounding is where the magic is, especially for Siddharth, who has methodically assembled that plus 318 like a builder laying brick after brick. We've got roughly 144 minutes until the closing bell, and that is just enough time for a heroic comeback, or a catastrophic misread that writes a trader's name into the tournament lore for all the wrong reasons.
But for the viewers, this is perfect. The stage is set for a closing rush where any one of the top 4 can take the day one trophy with a single, clean, high conviction push.
For Siddharth, the story is now about endurance. Can he protect that plus 318 and close out day one as the pace setter for the entire 11-day run? Or does he give this field one last opening? Day 1, 6 traders in the arena, and the scoreboard has crystallized into one clear storyline. A single green giant on top, and a couple of brave souls trying to reel him in. At the summit sits Siddharth Pradeep, 318 in the green, turning day one into a statement. This is not a warm-up. This is a grab the tournament by the throat opening shot.
318 on the board for Siddharth, and he is spiking candles like end zone celebrations. Every green move is another dance on the logo at midfield.
And the scary part is, there's still hours on the clock. Siddharth's got room to either double this thing or eject it straight into the dirt if he mistimes just one heavy hit.
227 for Shabin, and he's basically sitting at midfield with the ball. One clean breakout away from blasting this thing into a brand new number 1. Rahul at plus 189, it's like a possession receiver camping at the goal line. Give him one momentum candle and he's punching his ticket into the top 2. 164 in the bag and plenty of runway left. Karthika is the under-the-radar threat who can absolutely rip a 2-trade drive and suddenly be slamming the door on everyone behind.
And then we slide down to 5th, Roshan Palan, minus 116 and rocking that moderate risk badge. If this is moderate, I don't want to see what spicy looks like. Dead last. Chanukya Varma Desetti at minus 783. Yeah, that's not a drawdown, that's a documentary. Moderate risk, by the way.
Remember the thresholds. A 500 swing in either direction is a true highlight, a siren on the dashboard. Right now, no one's triggered that alarm, but Chanukya is dangerously close to the wrong side of it already. This is where day one gets dangerous. The leader feels invincible, the losers feel desperate, and the middle of the pack has to decide: defend the green or swing for a headline.
But you know how this goes. One oversized position, one rug pull candle, and that comfy 318 could whiplash into a full-on tilt spiral before the closing bell even comes into view.
And for everyone in the middle, Rahul, Shebin, Karthika, this is the part of the movie where you either protect the good chapter or decide to chase the montage and end up in a blooper reel.
This is the crunch time drive of day one. Anybody can still launch a $500 bomb. Anybody can still eat a $500 sack. And the leaderboard is one wild sequence away from going completely sideways.
We're late in the day one session now. 6 traders still in the arena, and the scoreboard is brutal. Only 4 names in the green, with one towering far above the rest. On the summit still is Siddharth Pradeep, with 318 in profit on day one. That's not just a lead, that's a statement to everyone else in this 11-day climb.
318 on the board and climbing. Siddharth is treating this opening day like a playoff game, torching the field and planting a giant green flag on rank 1.
And remember, this leaderboard isn't even close to the 500 big win ceiling yet. Siddharth's already got 300 locked. One more heater and he's spiking straight into that highlight zone before the close.
Just below, in second, sits Shebin T. Shaji with 232 and change. A strong cushion, but not yet close enough to breathe on Siddharth's neck.
You can feel the pressure on Shibin's screen right now. Every tick, he sees that 318 above him. Every click, he's thinking, is this the trade that slingshots me into first?
189 on opening day means Rahul is right there. One decisive breakout, one perfectly timed fade, and that third place badge can flip into a podium-shaking charge.
Karthika's spot is fascinating. Green enough to relax, close enough to dream of a late-day leap. If she presses now, she can either join the leaders or vanish into the red. So the top 4 all show green, all live, all within striking distance of that 500 big win watermark. But from rank 5 down, the story gets much darker.
The good news for Roshan? One strong sequence, and that minus 116 can snap to green and catapult him right back into the mix. There is still time on this clock to script a crowd-pleasing comeback.
Minus 775 on day one is wild. That's blowing straight through the 500 big loss line and just keeping the throttle down. Every extra dollar of red here feels like overtime in a horror movie.
Remember, the tournament window still has more than 2 hours left on the clock. That's a lifetime in intraday volatility. A single oversized trade can either rescue a red trader or erase a green lead in one swing.
You can feel the tension behind those dashboards. Top 4 staring at their green cushions, bottom 2 staring at damage control. Everybody knows one wrong click this late can rewrite the entire leaderboard.
We are late into day one in the Dayrade elevator. 6 traders still on the field, the clock ticking down, and that leaderboard is starting to feel like a locked door for anyone not in the top 3.
318 on day one. Siddharth is not just leading, he's planting a flag and daring anyone to chase him into the closing stretch. This is how you open an 11-day tournament, with fireworks and a scoreboard mic drop. 232 on day one is no joke. Shebin is basically one clean drive away from tackling that big win 500 line and turning this into a slugfest for the top seat.
Just behind them, Rahul Davis in third at 189, a sturdy green result, the kind that wins tournaments if you can repeat it over 11 days without ever stepping on a landmine. Fourth place belongs to Kartika Suresh at plus 176.5, quietly in striking distance. No flashy fireworks, just a respectable stack that can become a headline with one well-timed push.
Then we hit the basement door. Roshan Palan, moderate risk day trader out of the US, sitting at minus 116.3. That's the PnL equivalent of stubbing your toe on every entry.
And at the very bottom, the story turns heavy. Chanukyavarma Dasetti, also a US day trader with that same moderate risk tag, but the number reads minus 808.3.
But hey, this is an 11-day grind. You blow up on day one, you still got 10 chances to script the greatest comeback arc in tournament history. Turn that minus 800 into the origin story, not the ending.
And we're not done. There's still more than 2 hours on the clock. That's plenty of time for a leader to overtrade, a mid-pack name to spike a breakout, or a red trader to swing for the fences and either recover or disappear into the abyss.
Silence in a trading tournament is deceptive. It's the deep breath before someone sizes up, before someone hits that one trade that adds 100, 200, maybe 500 points to their story in a single burst. We are deep into day one now. New York afternoon light fading, and this 6-player ladder has settled into a sharp split between the hunters in green and the wounded in red. At the summit, Siddharth Pradeep sits at plus 318, a full flight of stairs above the rest, trying to turn a strong opening statement into a wire-to-wire day one lead.
Siddharth is absolutely owning the lobby right now. 318 in the bank, and everyone else is chasing his shadow like it's the only ticker on the screen.
Just below, Shebin T. Shaji in second at plus 232.25, close enough that one decisive sequence could turn Siddharth's comfort into a coin flip right at the top.
Rahul is the wild card in this chase pack, sitting at plus 189. He's a single breakout away from turning this into a 3-player shootout for that number one banner.
163 is that PnL where your friends say, nice trade, but nobody's asking you for a course link yet. Karthika's solid, just needs a real statement drive before the bell. Minus 116 with moderate risk is that sweet spot where your strategy doc says patience, but your finger says, we ball, and the account quietly disagrees.
Anchoring the field, Chanukyavarma Dasetti from the US. Day trading, moderate risk, sitting at minus 815.8, a truly deep hole on day one of 11, but not yet a final verdict. Look at the clock. About 2 hours and change remaining. 132 minutes before this window closes. And that $500 big win line still hasn't been crossed by anyone in the room. For Siddharth, the task is balance. 300 plus is enough to tempt boredom trades, but a single poorly timed lunge could drag that PnL right back into the pack below.
For Shebin in second, every tiny dip in Siddharth's line is an invitation. This is where traders start thinking. One more scalp, one more push, and suddenly you're either champ or meme material by the close.
Don't sleep on Karthika either. Plus, 163 gives her ammo. One confident sequence, and she can cannonball straight into that podium fight and blow this top 3 picture wide open.
Chanakya Verma at minus 815 is in pure rescue mode now. No hero sizing, no Hail Marys. Just a frantic climb trying to turn a disaster reel into something survivable before this window slams shut.
We're deep into day 1 now. 6 traders on the wire, and the board has settled into a clear shape. Green royalty at the top, chaos and bruises down below, with the clock quietly turning into the real opponent. Front and center, it's still Siddharth Pradeep on the throne at plus 318. No strategy tag, no risk label, just raw execution, carving his name across the top of the Dayrade elevator.
Shabin sitting in second with a clean 230 plus. This is prime ambush territory. One solid push and he can blitz right past Siddharth and steal that top slot before anyone blinks.
In fourth, Karthika Suresh holds plus 163. Quietly profitable, quietly lurking, one well-timed breakout away from forcing her name into every conversation on this leaderboard.
Roshan at minus 116 with moderate risk is that classic vibe where your profile looks disciplined, but your PnL line clearly had other ideas on the 1-minute chart.
Anchoring the field, Chanukya Varma Dasetti from the US is sitting at minus 898.8, still tagged as day trading, still marked moderate risk, but the numbers now tell a very different story.
At this point, Chanukya Varma's job isn't out trading Siddharth. It's convincing the account balance to stop rehearsing for the big loss threshold highlight reel at minus 500 and beyond.
That big win line is drawn right at plus 500, and nobody's punched through it yet. This entire lobby is one monster sequence away from lighting up the scoreboard like a championship celebration.
This is where leaders get greedy. Up a few hundred, feeling invincible. And just one more trade later, you're sending DMs to Roshan, asking how the red side of the board feels.
Rahul, sitting just behind the leaders, is playing for transformation. A single, well-structured burst could vault him from quiet third into the center of a title fight that defines the entire 11-day run.
For Roshan in fifth, the win condition today isn't flexing on Siddharth. It's getting that minus 116 to stop drifting, and proving that moderate risk doesn't secretly mean YOLO with better fonts.
And for Chanukya Varma, the story is resilience now. Minus 898 on day 1 is brutal, but clawing back even a fraction by the close could change the psychology of every decision for the rest of this tournament. Late in the New York session, day 1 ticking down, and this 6-player lobby has sorted itself into 2 clear worlds, 3 hunters in the green, and 3 bruised fighters trying to claw their way out of the red.
And ruling that world right now is Siddharth Pradeep on the top floor at plus 318. He's built himself a scoreboard balcony, feet up, watching everybody else scramble for his number.
318 on day 1. In an 11-day marathon, that's not just a good start, that's a statement. Siddharth saying, "This is my tower. Come take it from me."
Shabin's basically sitting on the 50-yard line of this leaderboard. One clean drive, a couple of solid executions, and he spikes the ball right on top of Siddharth's 318.
Rahul's in that danger zone where every tick matters. Blink and he's closing on Shabin. Flinch and he's stumbling back toward Karthika's neighborhood.
Don't sleep on 4th place either. Karthika Suresh at plus 163 has quietly built a solid green base, just one breakout away from kicking in the door to that top 3 club.
Minus 116 with day trading moderate is that classic combo where your risk settings are conservative, but your mouse hand is on full send. And anchoring the lobby, Varma Dassetti at minus 925.3. Also moderate risk, apparently referring to the risk of the account seeing daylight again this week.
925 in the red on day 1 is not a bruise, it's a crater. But in an 11-day campaign, even that can become the origin story of a legendary comeback run. Remember, volume is the siren in this arena. Anything firing over 1,000 shares is a flare in the night sky. And so far, this snapshot is quiet. Almost too quiet for a room this competitive.
This is where leaders get cute. Up a few hundred, start hunting just one more setup, and end the day networking with the red team downstairs.
For Shebin, every tiny dip on Siddharth's line is a green light. Is this the moment? Do I press? Do I size up? That's the psychological blitz you feel staring at second place with time running out.
And Rahul in third is one clean burst away from chaos. If he jumps over Shebin into that runner-up slot, suddenly Siddharth's comfy cushion turns into a full-blown brawl for the crown. So strap in, Siddharth on the throne, Shebin and Rahul ready to launch, Karthika lurking just behind, Roshan and Chanukya Varma grinding in the basement. One big push, one wild $500 swing, and this Dayrade elevator could go full overtime thriller before the closing bell.
We're deep into day 1 here in New York, the clock sliding under the last couple of hours. And this 6-player field is starting to look like 2 different tournaments stacked on the same screen.
Front and center, it's still the Siddharth Pradeep show. Plus, 318 on the board, sitting in first like he's rented the penthouse and changed the Wi-Fi password on everyone else.
Just below, in second, Shebin T. Shaji at plus 232 and a quarter. No style tag, no drama in the profile, but the numbers say quiet assassin, stalking that top slot with room for one well-timed strike.
Rahul's living in that awkward middle. Up nicely, but not enough to relax. Close enough to chase, but not enough to send the screenshot to the group chat yet. This is where people convince themselves they're just one trade away from glory.
163 on day 1 is a coiled spring. If Karthika finds a late session runner, we could see her rocket from background character to headliner in a single surge up this leaderboard.
Then we dive into the red, where Roshan Palan out of the US is camped at minus 116.3 with a moderate risk label. Yeah, if this is moderate, I'd hate to see aggressive.
Anchoring the pack, Chanukya Varma Dassetti in 6th at minus 859.8, also tagged as US Day Trader, moderate risk. This isn't just a dip, this is a crater that will echo into the next sessions if it's not contained.
Nobody's crossed the 500 line yet. That means the first trader to land that monster will plant a flag on this tournament like a kickoff return to the house on opening weekend.
And that's when you'll see who's actually trading a plan and who's just mashing buttons because the candles look spicy on the 5-second chart.
The beauty of an 11-day climb is right here on day 1. Siddharth's lead, Shebin's chase, Rahul and Karthika's quiet pressure, the red zone struggles below. None of it is permanent, but all of it leaves a psychological footprint for tomorrow.
Down in the basement, Roshan and Chanukya Varma don't need miracles, they need discipline. Close the platform if you have to, because the only thing worse than a rough day 1 is doubling down and discovering a true big loss threshold the hard way.
We're deep into day 1 now. 6 traders in the arena, 2 hours to go, and the shape of this leaderboard is starting to look like a real story instead of just random noise on a screen. At the summit, it's still Siddharth Pradeep with plus 318, the only one who's really carved out a cushion. He's not just winning trades, He's defining what a good first day means for everyone else.
Plus 318 on opening day is a statement. Siddharth isn't just on the top floor, he's redecorating the lobby and handing out eviction notices to anyone who wants that number one spot. Shabin is right there in the rear view, 232 on the board and driving like he's got nitrous strapped to the account, just waiting for that opening to blow past Siddharth on the straightaway.
Rahul is like a coiled spring in third. One aggressive push and he's shoulder to shoulder with Shibin. One hesitation and that gap to the top starts feeling like a mile-wide canyon.
Don't sleep on Karthika. Plus 163 means she's one breakout away from crashing the podium party and turning this into a four-player brawl for that day one crown.
Minus 116 on moderate risk is that special zone where your account says, we're in trouble, and your brain says, nah, just a warm-up jog through the red.
And anchoring the field, Chanukya Varma Dasetti at minus 858.3. Still tagged as moderate risk, but the equity curve is telling a much harsher story right now. Remember, the big win threshold is 500. No one's detonated a move that size yet, which means every trader on this board knows there's still room for a single monster trade to redefine their entire day.
And that's the danger zone. Quiet tape, board traders, 2 hours to go. This is exactly when somebody sizes up out of nowhere and either launches a comeback or sets their account on fire.
This is the classic I'll just take one more setup trap for Siddharth. 300 up, feeling invincible, and one badly timed hero trade away from hosting a welcome party down in the red zone.
Rahul in third is in that itchy trigger finger spot. Plus, 189 is strong, but sitting just behind the leaders this late invites those last-minute scalp attempts that either rocket you up or knock you straight into the mud.
For Roshan and that minus 116, the mission isn't glory right now. It's damage control. Stop the bleed, close the platform, pretend this was all part of a long-term learning process.
2 hours to go. Siddharth leading. Shabin and Rahul right on the chase. Karthika waiting to pounce. Roshan and Chanukya Varma trying to climb out of the crater. This Dayrade elevator is winding up for a wild closing drive, and any one trade could blow this leaderboard to pieces.
We're deep into day one now. 6 traders on the grid, and the leaderboard is starting to look less like noise and more like a verdict. At the top of that verdict sits Siddharth Pradeep, plus 318, building a quiet but undeniable fortress of green as the clock ticks toward the close.
Siddharth is your number one right now. 318 on the board, running the table while everyone else is trying to figure out how to even get on the same playing field. Shabin is sitting in second with 232 on the meter, and you can feel it. One clean sequence, and he's kicking the door of that top spot off the hinges.
Rahul at plus 189 is basically one flick of volatility away from jumping right into that lead pack. Any burst of momentum, and he's slingshotting straight into the title fight.
163 on the board for Karthika means she is one hot streak away from barging into that top 3 and turning this from a duel into a full-on brawl at the top.
Minus 116 with a moderate tag just means the seatbelt was on when the car hit the guardrail. Roshan's not totaled, but that paint job is looking expensive.
Anchoring the field, Chanukya Varma Dasetti from the US, also day trading moderate risk, but buried at minus 786.8. A brutal hole on the very first day of an 11-day climb. Look at the clock. About 2 hours left before this window slams shut. 117 minutes for someone to either double down on greatness or compound the damage.
And remember, the tape has been quiet on size. No one smashed that 1,000 share volume spike yet, which means the first time somebody hits the gas, this whole lobby is going to jolt awake.
This is classic leaderboard danger for Siddharth. 300 up is where people stop respecting risk and start auditioning for a highlight reel that usually never airs.
On the other side, every tiny dip in Siddharth's line is a green light for Shaban in second. He's sitting there at plus 232, fingers hovering, waiting to hammer that one setup that blows the gap wide open.
And don't sleep on Rahul at plus 189. One strong drive, one high conviction entry, and suddenly we're talking about a three-way slugfest for control of day one. So here we go. Siddharth on the throne, Shaban and Rahul loading up right behind, Karthika ready to crash the podium party, Roshan and Chanakya Varma fighting out of the red zone. The final 100 minutes of day one are set up for absolute fireworks on this Dayrade elevator scoreboard.
The clock keeps grinding on, day one. 6 names glowing on the board, and every minute that passes hardens these PnL lines into the opening chapter of this 11-day saga.
Up top is still the same story. Siddharth Pradeep blazing ahead with 318 in the bank, the clear pace setter of this pack and the first real bully on this leaderboard.
Shadowing him in second, Shaban T. Shaji rocks 232.25. No style tag, no country flag on the board, just raw numbers, quietly compressing the gap to the throne.
Of course, that same big swing can turn 232 into donation season. Second place is just the VIP section of the regret lounge if you mistime the last move.
In third, Rahul Davis holds 189. Close enough to feel the heat from the leaders. Far enough that every decision now asks, do you protect the stack or gamble for glory?
But let's be honest, third with under 200 is the screenshot zone. Looks spicy on social, feels a lot smaller when you're staring at someone else sitting 300 plus.
Fourth place, Karthika Suresh stands at plus 163. No tags, no bells, just quiet, solid green that keeps her within striking distance of the entire front pack.
But 163 is also the classic Mirage stack. Big enough to feel brave, small enough that one stubborn red candle can delete it while you're still saying it'll bounce.
Then, the turn. Down in fifth, Roshan Palan from the US, tagged as a moderate risk day trader, sits at negative 116.3, staring up at a wall of green above. And below them all, in sixth, Chanukya Varma Desetti, another US day trader, marked moderate risk, is buried at minus 806.3, already far beyond the big loss threshold on the very first day.
Hanukya has already overshot the big loss line. Every new click now is either a disciplined rescue mission or pouring gasoline on a bonfire that's visible from space.
Power hour is creeping closer. The 500 big win and big loss lines are glowing, and this whole room is one breakout away from chaos. Stay locked in, because someone's about to hit a home run trade or face plant off this elevator.
Late in the New York afternoon, day one grinds on. 6 traders still in the arena, and the leaderboard is starting to look less like noise and more like a statement.
318 on day one is a power opening. Siddharth basically marched the ball deep into the red zone, and now he gets to decide. Punch in another drive or sit back and play defense on this lead. 232 in PnL is no joke. Shaban is one clean $300 style push away from barging into first and turning this into a headline duel with Siddharth.
Rahul's in that dangerous comfort zone, up nicely, close to the front, and one oversized press away from either joining the leaders or handing his stack right back to the market.
Fourth place, Karthika Suresh at plus 163. No drama, just solid green, the kind of line that can quietly turn into a tournament pivot if she keeps stacking careful decision.
163 from Karthika means she's not a background character. One well-timed push toward that 300 symbol style threshold, and she's suddenly in the same conversation as Rahul and Sheben.
But from 163, one sloppy chase candle could also send Karthika tumbling straight into red. This is the balance beam part of the tournament where every click feels double weighted.
Minus 116 with a moderate tag is that special flavor of regret. You didn't blow the account, but you definitely blew lunch money and self-esteem on whatever that setup was.
At the bottom, rank 6, Shanukya Varma Dasetti from the US, also a moderate risk day trader, deep in the red at minus 743.8 on the day.
He's already blown past the minus 500 Diglos watermark. Every extra dollar of red now is just adding slow motion replay angles to a highlight he never wanted.
No one has crossed that plus 500 frontier yet. But Siddharth's 318 is the closest thing to a banner. From there, one decisive play could vault him straight into big win territory.
If Siddharth rips even a $200 burst from here, that's a 500 plus spike on day one. A full-blown end-zone dance that would force everyone else to abandon comfort and start throwing deep. But the silence won't hold. 1,000 share burst, one massive candle, and this calm leaderboard turns into a stadium roar as somebody rockets toward that $500 glory, or crashes into the basement in spectacular fashion.
We are deep into day one now, 7 traders on the board, and the shape of this Dayrade elevator lobby has sharpened into something brutal. One runaway leader, a pack of hopefuls, and a trap door at the bottom.
Chasing from rank 2, Sheben T. Shaji at 232.25. This is not a soft number, that's real firepower. One good extension and he's right on Siddharth's doorstep. Right behind them, Rahul Davis at 189 in rank 3. He's like a coiled spring in the stairwell of this elevator. One aggressive breakout away from blasting through that top duo.
Rank 4 belongs to Karthika Suresh with 164.5. Less fireworks, more craftsmanship, quietly stacking a solid first page finish on the very first day of this campaign.
Then you've got Barnum Saharia in rank 5 at minus 2. Basically break even. Basically stuck in the lobby watching elevators go up and down while the others are already on their way to the penthouse or the basement.
Minus 2 on day 1 is the ultimate I showed up result. No glory, no disaster. Just enough action to pay commissions and wonder what could have happened if you'd actually sent it. Moderate risk. Minus 116. That's trader for I behaved until lunchtime. Then a single candle convinced me to roleplay as a hedge fund for 5 minutes.
And at the bottom of the shaft, rank 7, Shanukya Varma Dasetti from the US, day trading with that same moderate risk label, but holding a brutal minus 834.3. This is not a dip. This is a crater.
And the scary part? With 108 minutes to go, there's still time for Hanukya to either stage an insane plus 500 style comeback swing or tunnel even deeper into the red if tilt takes the wheel.
That's the split screen right now. Siddharth cruising at the top with a sturdy 318. Hanukya buried below minus 800, and everyone else squeezed in between, trying to decide whether to protect today or attack the throne.
We are in the final chapters of day 1. Positions set, egos tested, and the big thresholds still looming overhead. One more decisive move from any of these names could rewire this entire leaderboard before the bell rings. We are deep into the afternoon window on day 1. 7 traders now lit up on the Dayrade elevator board, and the entire tower is still orbiting around one blazing number at the top.
Front and center, it's still the Siddharth Pradeep takeover, plus 318, rank 1, and everybody else is basically trying to rent a room in the skyscraper he just built.
318 on day one of an 11-day climb is not just a good opening. It's a statement to the field. If you want this trophy, you're going to have to pry it out of Siddharth's hands over almost 2 weeks of pressure.
Remember, the big win siren goes off at plus 500. Siddharth is already more than halfway there on the very first chapter, and there is still over an hour and a half left on this session clock. That is a huge flex from Shaban. He doesn't just peek into the top 3, he storms straight past Rahul into second, waving a plus 232 banner and saying, "I'm the one chasing Siddharth now."
And just like that, Rahul Davies gets shuffled to rank 3 with plus 189. Still a rock solid green, but the pressure meter just spiked because now he's the hunter, not the heir apparent.
What we're seeing now is a classic 3-layer stack. Siddharth alone in the clouds, Shaban and Rahul scrapping for position in the mid-green zone, and then a sharp drop-off before you hit the red canyon underneath.
Plus 173.5 with no risk tag showing. Karthika looks like the only person here who read the part of the manual that says, you can be green without detonating your account.
For Barnum, every click from here is basically a break-even buzzer beater. One decent push and rank 5 instantly becomes the sneaky green seat right behind Karthika's fortress at 4.
For Roshan, minus 116 on day 1 of 11 is a warning light, not a tombstone. Tighten up, stay within that moderate risk label, and this can still be the foundation of a long, disciplined comeback arc.
Moderate risk, minus 855.3. That's not risk management. That's speed running the how fast can I hit the big loss threshold leaderboards on the side.
And that gap, from Siddharth's plus 318 all the way down to Chanukya's minus 855, tells you everything about this format. Same clock, same market, wildly different stories playing out on the same board.
One big swing from any of these green names, Siddharth, Shaban, Rahul, Karthika, and we could see someone smash through that plus 500 barrier and light up day 1 like a championship game winner.
Day 1 rolls into the late session with 7 traders on the tower, and this leaderboard looks like a skyscraper. One bright penthouse up top, a crowded mid-tier, and a couple of floors flickering in red down below.
Front and center on your dashboard, it is still the reign of Siddharth Pradeep, rank 1, plus 318. He has basically turned day 1 into his personal highlight reel.
Remember the markers for this
Siddharth
tournament.
finds another
Plus
182
500
bucks from
is
here.
the monster
He's
win
not just winning
watermark.
a day. He's
Minus
detonating
500
that big win
is
threshold
disaster
and
territory.
planting a flag that the
And
rest of the
Siddharth is
field
already
has to
over
stare at
300
for
on day
10 more
1,
days.
surfing just under
Chasing
that
from
big
below,
game line,
Shaban
with time
Shaji
still on the
has
clock.
climbed into rank 2
Shaban
at plus
at plus 232 is not just
232.25.
coasting.
The closest
One
thing
clean
Siddharth has
breakout,
to arrival
one
in this
well-timed
late session
sequence,
storyline.
and he can drag that
Holding
PnL
rank
bar
3,
right into
Karthika
shouting
Suresh
distance
sits at
of
plus
the throne. Karthika
191.5,
knocking on a
forming a
200 door
three-player
on
green
day
wall
1
at the top.
is huge.
This is no
She
longer a
is one
solo
hot
act.
streak away
It's a small
from
pack
slingshot
hunting the
straight
same
into that
prize.
top 2 conversation.
And how about
Turning
Rahul
this
Davis down in
into
rank
a
4 at
three-way
plus
title
189?
Still,
He's that
plus
trader who did almost
189
everything
on
right,
day 1
and then
is
opened
no
the leaderboard
joke.
to find 3 people
Rahul
already
is a
flexing
single
harder.
decisive push away
From your screen,
from
it's a
leaping
traffic
past
jam.
Karthika
Rahul
into
just
the
a couple
podium
bucks
zone
behind Karthika,
and
both
setting
chasing
himself
Shaban.
up as the
All
shadow
three staring up
behind
at
that
Siddharth.
leading trio.
This is what a late
Just below
session
that
squeeze
green
looks like
cluster,
when everyone wants
Bonham
that same
Sahadia
top floor
in rank
elevator button.
5 sits at minus 6,
on day
barely
1
red,
is basically a
hovering
coin
right
toss.
on the line
Barnum
between
is
slow
one sharp
start
entry
and
away
no big
from
deal
flipping that
as the
bar to
minutes
green
tick away.
and suddenly
But you
joining
just
the
know
party
somewhere in Barnum's
instead of
head
watching
minus
it from the
6 feels
hallway.
like an insult.
Then your eyes
Too small
hit
to
the deeper
respect,
red.
too annoying to
Rank
ignore.
6,
The kind of
Roshan
red
Palam
that tempts you
out
into
of the
one
US,
dumb overtrade.
day trading with a moderate
Minus
risk tag,
116 with
sitting
moderate
at
risk is
minus
classic.
116.3
Roshan basically told the
as the
platform,
session winds
don't worry,
down.
I'll behave.
For
and
Roshan,
then threw a small
every tiny
barbecue for
bounce
his
matters.
PnL anyway.
Chip that -116
Anchoring
back
the
toward double
board
digits,
in rank
and suddenly
7,
day one looks like a recoverable
Chanukya
scratch
Varma
instead of a
Dasetti
hole
from the
you wake up
US,
thinking about tomorrow.
also a day trader with
Minus
moderate risk,
978
is deep in the
means
red
Hanukkah
at
hasn't
minus
just tapped the big loss threshold.
978.3.
He has
This is not just a
absolutely
bad start.
bulldozed through it.
It's a full-on
That is
stress
almost
test
double
on
the
day one.
disaster line
That's not a
on the
drawdown,
very
that's a
first day
demolition.
of this tournament.
Chanukya basically speed
Zoom
ran the
out
what
on the
not to do
dashboard and the
section of the
shape
risk
is
handbook,
clear.
and still has
3
over 100
traders
minutes
glowing
left to
in
either
strong
stabilize or
green,
dig the sequel.
one just behind them. Day one rolls into the final stretch of the Dayrade elevator in the red. 7 traders, one of them nearly 1,000 down, and that leaderboard 11 full looks like a skyscraper with one
Front and
penthouse
center,
and a
it
couple
is
of
Siddharth
broken
Pradeep,
elevators below.
sitting on a sparkling
318
plus
this late in the window
318
is insane
at rank
pace.
1.
One strong
He has
sequence and
slammed the
Siddharth is
door on the
literally a
rest of the
single sprint
field
away from that
and
plus
put his
500
name in
mega win
giant
line.
neon
The crowd
at
just
the top
waiting for him to
of
mash
day
the gas.
1. Chasing from P2, Shabinti Shaji with plus 232.25. This is not a consolation prize. This is a real challenger holding a serious green stack and refusing to let Siddharth stroll to the finish. Plus 208 from Karthika on day 1 is massive. She jumped straight into medal territory, and suddenly we've got a podium stacked with nothing but heavy green hitters.
Plus 189 and sitting fourth is that special pane where the PnL says great job, but the scoreboard says congrats, your background scenery.
From first to fourth, it's a tight green ladder. Any one of these runners lands a clean sequence and we could see a live reshuffle. The kind where the dashboard flickers and chat loses its mind.
Above the waterline, we have 4 traders in profit. But below it, the ocean gets dark fast. 3 red names fighting not just the market, but the clock itself.
Minus $7 is the kind of drawdown where your biggest risk is the transaction fees, but hey, at least Barnum didn't make the highlight reel for the wrong reasons. Yet. Moderate risk. Minus 116 basically translates to, I read the manual, but my entries didn't. Roshan has all week to fix it, but day 1 definitely swung first.
And then freefall. Chanukya Dasetti in dead last, rank 7, US day trader. Also stamped moderate risk, but sitting on an absolutely brutal minus 1071.8. That is more than double the big loss threshold. That's a full-on crash landing.
Look at the spread. From Siddharth's plus 318 all the way down to Chanukya Varma's minus 1071.8. Almost 1,400 points of separation on day 1 alone. This isn't just variance, it's a full-scale divergence in strategy and fortune. Top to bottom, every trader has a story forming. Steady climbers, controlled reds, and one spectacular wreck in Chanukya Varma. And with the clock ticking down on day 1, the Dayrade elevator is only just beginning to show who can truly handle the ride. Day 1, late in the New York window. 7 traders on the board, the clock slipping under the 100-minute mark, and the Dayrade elevator looks like a skyscraper with one glowing penthouse and a basement on fire.
Front and center at the top, it's Siddharth Pradeep R with plus 318. He's planted a giant neon green flag on rank 1, and everyone else is staring up like, how do we climb that?
Right now, Siddharth's biggest enemy isn't another trader. It's boredom. This is exactly where people start inventing trades just to feel something and turn a comfy lead into a free drama episode.
And still, that's a beast of a day 1. One clean push, one hot streak, and Shabin could turn this into a full-blown sprint for first, right before the closing bell.
Karthika at plus 215.5 is that friend who says, "Oh, I'm just vibing," while quietly creeping up behind you on the leaderboard with a knife made of green candles.
Don't sleep on that spot, though. One fast sequence, and Rahul can catapult straight into medal territory and blow this whole top 4 order to pieces.
Look at that cluster. Second, third, fourth, all within about 40 points of each other. Any burst of momentum in these last 90 plus minutes is basically a live action rank shuffle waiting to erupt.
Then we reach fifth, where Barnum Saharia is chilling at -9. Down a tiny bit, not really losing. Definitely not winning. Just paying a small cover charge to watch the show from the lobby.
Down in sixth, US trader Roshan Palan at -116.3. Moderate risk tag, but the equity curve has already taken a decent punch to the jaw.
And then, far below the rest, Chanukyavarma Dasetti, US day trader, stamped moderate risk, sitting at a staggering -1,139.8.
And here's the wild part. When you're already that deep, every new order feels like a lottery ticket. One lucky rip and you claw back hundreds. One more misstep and you're starting in a risk management horror reel.
That's a full stadium-sized gap. The leader is cruising in highlight reel territory, while the bottom is already in can they possibly come back from this folklore mode.
Remember, we've got 96 minutes left in this tournament window. Plenty of space for one of those mid-tier traders around +200 to fire off a late surge and flip the entire podium like a rogue candle.
Leaderboard locked, clock ticking, risk lines already shattered. Day one of the Dayrade elevator is delivering blow-ups and breakouts, and the final 90 minutes could still write a completely different ending to this first chapter. Day one, late in the New York window. 7 traders still on the field, 93 minutes to go, and this leaderboard has turned into a one-man balcony over a very noisy street.
Front and center, it's all Siddharth Pradeep on the throne, plus 318, rank 1. And everyone else is basically trying to trade their way into his highlight reel.
Chasing in second, Karthika Suresh with plus 239.5. No style tag listed, no risk tag shown. But the numbers say measured aggression on opening day.
If Karthika pops a $300 run on a single symbol, that smacks the symbol PnL threshold and instantly turns this calm climb into a siren-blaring sprint for rank 1.
In third position, Shebin T. Shaji at plus 232.25. Just a whisper behind Karthika, both of them still on the same scoring drive behind Siddharth's lead.
But this is the danger zone of the green side. Shivin is close enough to taste a top 2 flip, which is exactly when people start slamming size like the close is a slot machine.
Anchoring the green cluster, Rahul Davis at plus 189, fourth on the board, but still within one good sequence of the entire top 3 dynamic shifting.
Of course, plus 189 with an hour and a half left is also prime. Give half of it back trying to go viral territory. Rahul's biggest enemy right now is the little voice that says, just one more trade.
That means one thing. Somebody is going to have to call a deep shot, a leveraged swing, a high conviction entry, something that can blast through that plus 500 ceiling and put day one in the history books.
But that tiny red also makes Barnum super dangerous. One decent push and he's back in the mix. One tilt rate chasing the top 4 and he could instantly join the deep red drama below.
Below him, in sixth, sits Roshan Palan from the US. Moderate risk day trader, marked at minus 116.3. Feeling the weight of that word moderate as the clock winds down.
That's not just a drawdown. That's a full-blown crater. Chanukya has doubled the big loss threshold and kept digging. From here, every trade is a Hail Mary. Either we witness a miracle comeback arc, or day one becomes an instant cautionary legend.
90 minutes left on day one. 7 traders on the grid now, and this leaderboard looks like a skyscraper with one bright penthouse and one trader trapped in the basement.
Sitting in that penthouse right now is Siddharth Pradeep with 318 in green, holding rank 1 like it's reserved seating at the top of the Dayrade elevator.
318 with a big win bar at 500 means every new click from Siddharth is like leaning out the window of that penthouse. One slip and he's tumbling. One perfect jump and he's landing a highlight reel super trade.
Just beneath the throne, Karthika Suresh has climbed into rank 2 at 244, quietly building a staircase of green that now puts her squarely in striking distance of Siddharth's lead.
Shabin at 232 is in that zone where you're crushing it. But the only thing separating you from rank 2 is whether your next trade is a sniper shot or a potato.
Behind them,
But don't
Rahul
count
Davis
Rahul out.
at 189
One clean
has slipped
$300
into rank
symbol heater
4,
from
still
here,
comfortably
and
green,
he's not just back in
but
the
now
chase.
clearly watching
He's
3
kicking down the
different
doors of the
PnL
podium
bars
with
tower
both feet.
just ahead
For
of him.
Barnum, though, the
Down in
math
rank
is simple.
6,
One strong
Roshan
symbol
Palan
over
from
that
the US
$300
is
line
parked at
and
minus
minus 17 leads to tournament
116.3,
storyline in a single
labeled
burst of
a
green.
moderate risk
Minus
day
116
trader,
with moderate
but now
risk
living
basically
in the
means your losers
uncomfortable
show up every
shadow
day.
of triple
They're just too
digit
polite
red.
to blow up the account all at
But
once.
with 90 minutes to go,
And far
Roshan
below
is
the
one
rest,
$500
in rank
monster away
7,
from teleporting out of the red
Chanukya
zone and
Varma
straight into the
Dasetti from
mid-pack
the
dogfight.
US
This
is
is
sitting on
prime
a
revenge trade
staggering
temptation territory.
minus
That is not just through the big loss line
1,196.8,
at
a
minus
deficit
500.
that dwarfs the entire
That's
spread
past it,
between first and
doubled it,
fifth.
and kept digging.
Minus is biled. The
Chanukya
system's
Varma
basically screaming.
hasn't taken the
You
elevator
promised
down.
vegetables and showed up with
He's
deep-fried
installed an
YOLO.
escalator
From that kind of
straight
hole,
into
even
the
a
red
$500
abyss.
big win just patches a chunk of
What
the
makes
crater.
this leaderboard
You need multiple
fascinating
home run
is
trades,
the
back to
symmetry.
back, just to
4
reconnect with the rest of the
traders
field.
solidly green,
And remember,
1
a
barely
single
red,
$500
1
surge is
nursing
the
a manageable
official big
loss,
win badge
and
in
1
this arena.
already
Any
carrying
trader who
a
lands one
tournament-sized
in the next
scar
90
on
minutes
day 1.
instantly prints a
With
day
the
1
symbol PnL
signature
threshold at
on
300,
this
it
tournament.
won't take a crazy
And you know
thing.
how this goes.
Just one name
With 90
fetching a
minutes to
1,000 share
close,
burst of volume,
somebody's going
and
to stare
suddenly
at that
we've
big
got a
loss
scoreboard
threshold and think,
earthquake on a single
what if
ticker.
I just doubled
This
my
is where
size?
day 1
What's the worst that
legends
could happen?
and day 1
Strap in.
regrets are
90
made.
minutes left.
The leader
Thresholds
defending
glowing.
a fragile
7
cushion,
traders live.
the
And at
chasers
any
balancing
moment, a
patience
single
against FOMO,
oversized
and the
trade
deep
can
red
flip this
warriors
Dayrade elevator
deciding whether
from
to
orderly
rebuild
staircase
or
into
retilt.
chaotic, glorious,
We're deep into the afternoon of
esport-style
day 1.
freefall.
7 traders
Front
lit
of the
up on the
pack,
board now,
still wearing the
and
crown,
the Dayrade
is Siddharth
elevator
Pradeep
has stretched
with plus
into a full-blown
318.
vertical battlefield,
He's built a
from
skyscraper
bright
of
green at the
green
top
and parked it
to
right
heavy
on rank
red at the
1.
bottom. With the big win bar drawn at plus 500, that 318 isn't just a lead, it's a loaded slingshot. One decisive push, and Siddharth is etching the first signature blast of this entire tournament.
Chasing from rank 2, Karthika Suresh is cooking with plus 244. She's carved out real points and is now a single, strong trade away from kicking open the door to that top spot.
And don't forget rank 4, Rahul Davis with plus 189. Just one medium pop away from crashing that top 3 party. Every tiny scalp now is a potential rank flip waiting to fire.
This is a proper in-game drive. Any one of those 4 can rip a $500 bomb and turn the entire leaderboard into a highlight reel in a single sequence.
Then there's rank 5, Barnum Saharia at minus 17.4. Basically that awkward zone where you're red enough to be annoyed, but not red enough to have a good excuse. For Barnum, the danger is psychological. This is the classic, I just need one decent trade territory, also known as the first chapter of every revenge trading horror story ever written. Minus 116 with moderate risk is basically the market saying, nice PowerPoint, shame about the execution. This is where you find out if the stop-loss rules were just decorative.
Anchoring the field in rank 7 is Chanukya Varma Dasetti, also US, also moderate risk day trading, but carrying a brutal minus 1,255.3, more than double the big loss threshold. Zoom out, and the spread is wild. Plus 318 at the top, minus 1255 at the bottom. Over $1,500 of separation across just 7 names on the very first day.
We're about 87 minutes from the close. No live event pings on the tape right now, and that quiet is terrifying. This is the coil before somebody hammers size into the last tower and blows up the scoreboard.
Remember, this is only day 1 of 11. The green stacks we're seeing from Siddharth, Karthika, Shebin, and Rahul are more than numbers. They're psychological edges they can carry into every opening bell from here. We're deep into the afternoon on day 1. 7 traders on the board now, and this elevator looks more like a skyscraper. Green lights glowing at the top, a couple of floors on fire at the bottom.
And right now, the penthouse belongs to Siddharth Pradeep, rank 1, plus 318, planting a massive green flag on top of day 1.
318 on the opener window, with 84 minutes to go, means every extra trade from Siddharth is high wire stuff. One mistimed click, and that comfy cushion can vanish in an instant.
Chasing from rank 2, Karthika Suresh at plus 244 has quietly become the shadow threat. No style tag, no drama on the sheet, just solid execution that keeps her within one strong push of the leader. Just a step behind in rank 3, Shabin T. Shaji at plus 232 and change. Comfortably green, dangerously close to that podium shuffle zone if the top line stumbles. In rank 4, Rahul Davis with plus 189 is still very much in the conversation. Green, competitive, and one breakout away from crashing the podium party above him.
For Rahul, every tick now is a tug of war. Do you protect that plus 189 or start swinging harder, trying to leapfrog 2, maybe 3 spots before this window slams shut?
Then there's Barnum Saharia in rank 5 at minus 17 and change, just a scratch below 0. Close enough that one competent trade could haul him right back into the green pack. In 6th, Roshan Palan from the US, day trading with moderate risk, sits at minus 116. Down but not out, and still with a full tournament in front of him to redefine this opening chapter.
The scary part for Roshan is that one more oversized hit could turn moderate risk into full send carnage. He's dancing right on the edge of keeping this manageable or lighting the day on fire. Minus 1378 on day 1 means every extra click from Chanukya Varma is pure heart attack territory. This isn't just red, this is margin call nightmare fuel if he keeps swinging.
When the big loss threshold is minus 500 and you're chilling near minus 1400, that's not a drawdown. That's a full season recap in one trading window.
This is it. Day 1 in the red zone. Big loss carnage already logged. Big win potential still on the table. And any one of these top 4 can still launch a final hour drive that blows this leaderboard to pieces.
81 minutes left in this day 1 window. 7 traders on the board, and the shape of this tournament is already clear. A single leader stretching away while everyone else stares up the elevator shaft. At the very top, it's still Siddharth Pradeep, 318 in profit, alone on the highest floor. He's not just winning the day, he's trying to write the tone of the entire 11-day story.
318 and holding. Siddharth is treating this like a championship opener, hammering green and telling the rest of the lobby, you're not just chasing the lead, you're chasing me all week long.
But look at that number. 300 plus with over an hour left is danger territory for the brain. This is where you start thinking, one more push, and that's how heroes turn into highlight reel implosions. You don't sneak your way to plus 244 this late by accident. That's real work, real entries. And it means if Siddharth so much as stumbles, Karthika can slam straight through that gap with one strong sequence. You know Shabin can see that rank drop. 3rd place at 232 is great until your brain screams, bro, that was my 2nd place. This is prime FOMO time if he can't keep his hands under control.
189 on day 1, means Rahul is one properly sized winner away from crashing the podium party. He's basically waiting in the tunnel with his helmet on, just begging the market for one more drive.
Then there's the fault line between green and red. Barnum Saharia in fifth at minus 17.4, just barely underwater. Close enough that a single good trade could flip his entire narrative from struggle to recovery arc. And at the base of the tower, Chanukya Varma Dasetti, also from the US, wearing that same moderate risk day trading label, but showing a brutal minus 1,420.3, a number that echoes across the whole board. So the bracket splits in two directions. Up top, Siddharth and Karthika playing for control of the whole tournament tone. Down below, Roshan and Chanukya trying to decide if today ends as a wound or a warning.
We're deep in the New York session, 309 minutes since the Open, 81 to go, and this is prime chaos time. Positions are big enough to hurt, clocks are short enough to force decisions, and every click can rewrite the rank.
Stay locked on that dashboard. Leaders can fall, underdogs can launch. And with this much PnL already on the table, the closing stretch of day one can still deliver a full-on trading touchdown out of nowhere.
Day one, late session. 7 traders still wired into the Dayrade elevator, and the board is split. 3 shining green, 4 deep in the grind, all staring down the final stretch before the bell. Front and center sits Siddharth Pradeep at 318 in profit. On the opening day of an 11-day climb, that's not just a nice start, that's pace setting for the entire tournament. And remember, the big win spotlight is sitting at plus 500. Siddharth is already more than halfway there. One more clean drive, and he crashes straight into highlight reel territory before this session even cools off.
244 on day one. Karthika is not a side character. That's contender fuel. One strong push, one sharp read, and she can launch a full-on assault on that top seat before the clock hits 0. 2-2 and change. Sheben is one hot streak away from turning this into a 3-way slugfest at the top. Give this guy one clean trend and he can rocket straight into a photo finish with Karthika and Siddharth.
You can picture Sheben hovering over that buy button like it's a launch key. One more sequence and he's in the spotlight. One mistimed chase and that cozy green can unravel in seconds.
189 on the opener. That's a real score. Rahul is one breakout, one perfect fade from vaulting straight into this top 3 dogfight and turning that quiet green into a headline.
So our top 4, Siddharth, Karthika, Sheben, and Rahul, all riding green, all staring at that 500 big win horizon. And every one of them knows a single oversized trade could launch them or level them in the minutes ahead.
Minus 116 with moderate risk is like calling a roller coaster a slight incline. You're not blown up, but you definitely paid tuition to the market this afternoon.
But look, minus 116 on this clock is not a death sentence. One sharp read, one strong trend, and Roshan can flip that board from red to green and explode right back into the mid-pack battle before time runs out.
Minus 1284 on a 500 big loss threshold? That's not crossing the line, that's speed running it. Moderate risk here apparently means moderating how often you look at your PnL.
78 minutes to the close. 7 traders locked in. 1 dominant leader, 3 hungry chasers, and a pair of wounded fighters, plus 1 massive blow-up at the bottom. Stay glued to that dashboard. The next surge of green or sweep of red could redefine this entire day one saga. Afternoon session ticking down in New York, 75 minutes on the clock, and this seven-trader ladder has finally taken shape. Clear leaders up top, bruised accounts at the bottom, and not a single new spark on the event feed. Yet.
318 on the opener and still in control. Siddharth is treating day one like a highlight reel warm-up. That's not just a lead. That's a scoreboard flex with neon lights around it.
Right behind, Shabin T. Shaji holds third at plus 232.25. Comfortably green, but close enough that every tick in either direction could mean jumping a rung or getting knocked down one. Fourth place, Rahul Davis at plus 189. A sturdy cushion, not flashy, but exactly the kind of controlled green that wins long tournaments if you can keep it boring and repeatable.
Minus 17 is the could have just closed the laptop zone. You're not wrecked, Barnum, you're just donating commissions to prove a point to the market that it does not care about.
Sixth, we find Roshan Palan from the US, moderate risk day trader, sitting at minus 116.3. Deep enough in the red to sting, but not so far that a strong late push couldn't drag him back to even.
Minus 1398 on day one. That's not a drawdown, Hanukia, that's a documentary. The big loss threshold is minus 500. You cleared it, planted a flag, and kept digging.
And what's wild is the feed is quiet right now. No fresh spikes, no big rank jumps. Just 7 traders staring down the final 75 minutes, wondering if one more series of trades is worth the emotional damage. You know Siddharth is feeling that too, plus 318 in the bag. But every flicker on the ladder is a question. Do I defend this lead or go hunting for that 500-point statement win? Meanwhile, Karthika at plus 244 is the one with the real decision. Do you send it and try to rip past 300 into the leader's shadow, or lock it in and trust you'll get another chance later in the series?
And down in last, Hanukia's choice is even simpler. Either you accept minus 1398 as the origin story of the greatest comeback ever, or you audition for How I Blew Up an 11-day tournament in one afternoon.
75 minutes left in this day one showdown. Siddharth, Karthika, Shebin, Rahul in the green, Barnum, Roshan, Hanukia in the red. Any one burst of trades can flip this ladder like a last-second Hail Mary. Stay glued to that dashboard.
New York afternoon winding down. 72 minutes left on the clock. And this 7-trader tower is frozen. No fresh events, just profit and pain staring back from the dashboard like a final exam grade sheet. Shadowing in second, Karthika Suresh on plus 244. Close enough that one perfectly timed push could turn Siddharth's comfort into a very awkward final hour. Third place belongs to Shabin T. Shaji at plus 232.25. Solidly green, but sitting in that razor band, where a single sequence can fling you into the lead battle or dump you out of the podium entirely.
Don't sleep on Rahul at plus 189. He is one clean breakout from crashing this top 3 party and turning day one into a 4-way brawl for that elevator crown.
Minus 17 is the annoyed but still functioning bracket. Barnum's not blown up, he's just paying a small tax to be reminded that the market doesn't care about his feelings today.
Sixth is Roshan Palan out of the US, a self-described moderate-risk day trader, currently sitting at minus 116.3, well into the red, but still in range for a disciplined late push to rewrite the whole narrative of his day one.
Big loss line is minus 500, and Chanukia looked at that and said, "Cool, I'll speedrun it. This isn't a dip, it's a full season storyline baked into the very first session."
And yet, the event feed is dead quiet. No fresh spikes, no big swings. Just 7 traders staring at those PnL lines, wondering, do I really want to touch anything with 72 minutes left and my heart rate already at max? You just know Siddharth is hovering over the button. Plus 318 in the green. One wrong move and that cushion starts leaking. One more clean drive and he's sprinting toward that 500-point statement zone. Meanwhile, Kartika at plus 244 is right in that torture zone. Close enough to dream about a late push for the crown, but far enough that one misfire could knock her straight back into Rahul's crosshairs.
Down at minus 1387, Hanukia's decision tree is simple. Either lock the keyboard and live to fight the next 10 days, or hit buy one more time and speed test just how low a ladder can go.
Final 72 minutes of day 1. Siddharth, Karthika, Shebin, Rahul glowing green, Barnum, Roshan, Chanukya bleeding red. This entire ladder is a loaded spring. One wild late session drive, and we could see a last second leaderboard shocker that feels like a walk-off goal.
Final hour now, under 70 minutes, and this ladder looks like a painting. Siddharth, Karthika, Shebin, and Rahul glowing green up top, while the red trio below them quietly plot one last swing before the bell.
Look at that scoreboard. Siddharth still parked on plus 318, waving from the balcony like, y'all can climb if you want. I've already built the penthouse on day 1.
Behind him, Karthika on plus 244 is the shadow in the doorway, within one clean drive of turning that comfortable cushion into a nervous glance at the clock.
Then there's Shavin with plus 232.25, stuck in that spin cycle where every tick feels like it might catapult him into the title chase or slam him right into Rahul's bumper.
Rahul in fourth at plus 189 is the quiet professional here. No label, no drama, just methodical green that looks built for an 11-day climb rather than a single-session sprint.
Minus 17 is that special place where you're not hurt enough to quit, but you're definitely annoyed enough to do something reckless. Barnum, this is where revenge trades are born.
Sixth place is Roshan Palan from the US, tagged as a moderate risk day trader, yet sitting at minus 116.3, a drawdown that's still manageable, but heavy enough to tempt a late session gamble. And at the very bottom, Chanukya Varma Dasetti from the US, also moderate risk, marooned at minus 1461.3, a number that turns the first day into a mountain before the climb has even begun. Silence in a trading room is never just silence. It's pressure. Every untouched symbol, every unopened position is a potential 500-point swing waiting to be unleashed in the final stretch.
Down at minus 1461, Hanukia's menu is simple. Either you accept this as the starting chapter of a miracle comeback, or you open a fresh position and audition for how I nuked an entire tournament in one session.
No symbol spikes, no fresh alerts, but the stakes are amplifying. 69 minutes to go, and every trader has to decide, is this the day you swing for glory, or the day you protect your future rounds? We're into the final stretch now. About an hour left in this opening duel. 7 traders locked on the board, and every number you see might be the number they have to live with for the whole night.
Look at that scoreboard headline. Siddharth Pradeep still blazing at plus 318. On day 1, he's not just leading, he's turned the top of this ladder into his own VIP balcony.
Just behind, Karthika Suresh, frozen at plus 244. No style tag, no risk label, just a sharp green tally that says, I'm one swing away from taking a hammer to that lead.
And that's the trap, right? You're in second, green and comfy, but every tick on Siddharth's number feels like a dare. Send it and maybe you steal the crown, or clip one bad trade and you're tumbling straight into third. Then there's Rahul Davis at plus 189. This is that sneaky tournament equity, the steady green where you blink, He catches one momentum burst, and suddenly he's erased the gap and turned this into a four-player cage match.
Rahul's plus 189 doesn't scream for attention. But in an 11-day battle, that's the kind of disciplined base camp from which you quietly assault the summit, while everyone else exhausts themselves, chasing glory on day one.
Minus 17 is the should I trade to fix this or just hydrate and live to fight tomorrow zone. And history books are very clear on which choice usually nukes the account. Moderate risk, minus 116. That's the PnL version of wearing a seatbelt while drag racing. Technically safe, emotionally expensive.
And anchoring the bottom, Chanukyavarma Daseti, also US, also moderate risk on paper, but the reality is a crushing minus 1351.8, a drawdown that will echo through every decision from here on out. This quiet isn't safety, it's pressure building. Every untouched hotkey, every unopened position is potential energy waiting to explode into a 500-point swing for someone on this board.
When that next surge finally hits, whether it's Siddharth punching for a knockout, Karthika ripping for the crown, or someone in the red firing a desperation volley, this calm leaderboard can flip like a last-second end-zone miracle.
Final hour now truly taking shape. 63 minutes on the clock. 7 traders locked in. And this ladder feels like a pressure cooker with a lid welded shut. Siddharth Pradeep still presiding over the field at plus 318. Day one leader, first pillar of this 11-day climb, and the number everyone else has to chase for the rest of the series.
Plus 318 on opening day and still untouched. Siddharth didn't just clock in. He slammed the green banner across the whole scoreboard and dared the rest of the lobby to do something about it.
Just a few rungs below, Karthika Suresh at plus 244. No label, no flair, just raw green, saying, I am one strong drive away from turning the throne into a coin flip.
You know Shebin's cursor is hovering right now. 232 is screaming, hit one more setup, but the clock is whispering, touch nothing and protect the bag. That internal hotkey battle is real.
Don't let the fourth tag fool you. Rahul is one clean, late session burst from crashing the top 3 party and turning day one into a full cluster of green at the summit.
Minus 17 is pure ego territory. Barnum isn't fighting for survival, he's arguing with the chart over principle. And the chart is just forwarding his calls to voicemail.
6th, we find Roshan Palan out of the US, tagged as a moderate risk day trader and sitting at minus 116.3, a cut that hurts, but still small compared to what this field is capable of on tilt. From Siddharth's plus 318 to Chanukya's minus 1433, the spread across this 7-trader stack is over 1,700 points, a canyon carved out in a single New York session. This kind of silence at the end of a session isn't calm, it's stored energy. Every untouched hotkey is a potential 500-point swing just waiting for one trader to finally snap and send it.
Meanwhile, Barnum's big strategic decision is whether to chase a heroic comeback from minus 17 or just let the market maker keep that tip and walk out with dignity intact. Chanukya doesn't get a strategic puzzle, he gets a life lesson. Either accept minus 1433 as episode 1 of a miracle arc, or as Exhibit A in the Don't Average Your Way into Oblivion slideshow.
63 minutes until the closing bell. Siddharth, Karthika, Shebin, Rahul shining in green, Barnum, Roshan, Chanukya bleeding in red. One brave flurry of trades, and this day one leaderboard can flip like a last-second game winner on your screen.
Clock hits the official power hour. 60 minutes to the bell, 7 traders on the ladder, and not a single new spike on the feed. All the drama is trapped inside their open orders and second thoughts.
Look at that scoreboard. Siddharth Pradeep parked at plus 318, owning the high ground of day one like it's his personal balcony over this entire tournament. And breathing down his neck, Karthika Suresh on plus 244. This is the classic rival angle. One breakout away from turning Siddharth's comfort zone into a full-blown alarm. 232 on the board, and Shabin is one highlight away from gate crashing that title fight. This isn't a safe third. This is the launch pad row on the elevator.
Don't sleep on that fourth spot though. Rahul is essentially one momentum burst away from sitting right in that 200s cluster and turning this tidy day into a podium ambush.
Then the board turns red. 5th place, Barnum Saharia at minus 17.4. Not destroyed, just stuck in that awkward pocket where every decision feels like it could either rescue the day or start the slide. 6th place, Roshan Palan out of the US, tagged as a moderate risk day trader, sitting on minus 116.3. Deep enough to hurt, but still well within reach of a disciplined late push back toward neutral.
The big loss warning line is minus 500. Chanukya didn't just cross it. He built a summer home on the other side and started throwing a housewarming party for every bad decision he's ever made.
And still the event feed is blank. No fresh entries, no volume flares. Just 7 traders watching this scoreboard like defusing a bomb where every extra click could be the wrong wire.
For Siddharth, every minute without a new trade is a negotiation. Do you defend that plus 318 like a title belt? Or chase the big win line near 500 and risk turning a masterpiece into a cautionary tale?
Way down at minus 1400, Chanukya doesn't even have FOMO. He's got FOGA, fear of getting even. Because climbing that far back means trading smart for days in a row, not just sending one more YOLO candle into oblivion.
This is the power hour gauntlet. Siddharth, Karthika, Shabin, Rahul glowing green, Barnum, Roshan, Chanukya bleeding red. And with big win and big loss thresholds still untouched by fresh action, the next surge could look like a walk-off touchdown on your screen.
On the top rung, still untouched, is Siddharth Pradeep with plus 318, a green cushion that doesn't yet hit the 500 big win mark, but absolutely plants him as the day one pace car for this 11-day climb.
Plus 244 and parked in P2, Karthika is literally one well-timed surge away from kicking the ladder out from under Siddharth and turning this quiet finish into a full-blown first day photo finish.
In 4th, Rahul Davis sits on plus 189, a quieter, more controlled green stack, the kind of line that doesn't grab headlines today, but can quietly become the backbone of a championship run over 11 sessions.
Minus 17 is the why did I even bother zone. Barnum isn't blown up, he's just paying the market a small subscription fee for the privilege of feeling annoyed at the close.
6th, we find US trader Roshan Palan, a self-declared moderate risk day trader, sitting on minus 116.3, big enough to hurt, small enough that one brave but disciplined swing could drag him right back into the conversation tomorrow.
Minus 1400 on day one with a moderate tag. Chanukya didn't just cross the minus 500 big loss line. He built a summer home on the other side and started redecorating.
And the wild part? The event feed is still totally flat. No fresh trades, no volume spikes, just 7 traders staring at these numbers and wondering if one last burst is worth potentially detonating their entire day one narrative.
If Siddharth leans in and shoves that plus 318 toward the plus 500 milestone, it stops being just a nice day one and turns into a clear message to the whole lobby. You're chasing me for the next 10 sessions.
On the flip side, Karthika at plus 244 is the perfect ambush predator. One well-timed push, one burst of volume, and she doesn't just close the gap. She slingshots straight past Siddharth in the final minutes.
Power hour. 57 minutes to go. Siddharth, Karthika, Shebin, Rahul in the green. Barnum, Roshan, Chinukya in the red. One brave sequence from any of them, and this calm dashboard explodes into an in-game highlight reel.
Power hour deep in New York. 54 minutes to the bell, and this 7-stack ladder feels frozen. No new events on the feed, just green and red numbers quietly daring someone to break the stalemate. At the summit
Plus
sits
318
Siddharth
on opening
Pradeep
day.
on plus
Siddharth
318.
isn't just leading.
Day one's
He's
pace
turned the
setter,
scoreboard into a
holding a
personal
lead that
billboard
feels
that
less
screams,
like a chip stack
"I
and
run this
more like a
lobby
banner
until
planted
further
at the top
notice."
of this 11-day climb. Just below, Karthika
244
Suresh
in the bag
locks in
and
second
stalking the
at
throne.
plus 244.
Karthika is basically
No
one
style tag,
perfectly
no
timed
risk
drive
label,
away from
just
kicking that
quiet,
number one door
efficient
clean
green,
off his
sitting
hinges.
one clean
In
push
third,
away from
Shebin
turning this
Shaji
leaderboard
with
into
plus
a dead
232
232.25.
and right in the
Firmly
draft.
green,
Shebin is
but close
basically
enough to
one
the
clean
front that
breakout
every
from turning
hypothetical
this into a
trade in this
three-way
final
sprint
hour
for that
is a
opening day
coin
crown.
toss between
Don't
title
sleep
run
on plus
and step
189.
back. Then the
Rahul
tone
is a
shifts.
single heater
Fifth
away
place,
from teleporting
Barnum
straight into
Sahadia
that podium
at
fight
minus
and turning this tidy
17.4,
green
hovering
into a
just
statement
below the
start.
surface.
Minus
One
17 is
slip
that
from
special
trouble
zone where you're
and
not
one
wrecked,
disciplined
you're just paying
series from
tuition.
erasing the
Barnum
damage
basically spent a
entirely.
lunch break arguing with the
Sixth,
market and lost the
Roshan
tip.
Palan from
Minus
the
116
US,
with a moderate
tagged
label
as a
is the
moderate
market's way of
risk
saying,
day trader,
nice
sitting
seatbelt,
at
Roshan.
minus 116.3.
Maybe next time don't floor it into the
Enough
opening
red to
candle.
sting, but still close
And
enough to
anchored
the surface
bottom rung.
that one well-managed
Chinukya
push
Varma
could drag him
Dasetti.
back to neutral. Also, a
Minus
US
1430 on
moderate
day
risk
one
day
isn't just a
trader,
drawdown, Hanukya.
staring at
That's a
minus
trilogy.
1430.8.
Risk limit said please stop,
A number so
and
deep
you replied with a
it
full
turns
send
that
and a sequel.
moderate tag from
into
Siddharth's
pure
plus 318 up top
And the wild
to
part, the
Hanukya's
event feed
minus
is absolutely
1430
flat.
at the floor.
No volume spikes,
This
no
ladder
fresh rank
spans
jumps,
more than
just 7 traders
1,700
hovering over the
points.
button,
A
wondering if
canyon
one more click is
carved
worth
in a
11
single
days of stress.
afternoon of conviction,
In this
hesitation,
kind of stillness
and outright tilt. Every untouched
You know
order
Siddharth's
ticket
cursor
gets
is hovering.
heavier.
Plus 318
The
locked,
next
and that
position
big win
any of them
lineup at plus
open
500
won't
staring
just
back at
move
him
a
like,
PnL.
one more
It
sequence,
could
come on,
redraw the
just one
entire
more.
storyline
But if
of
anyone
this
is built for an
tournament's
ambush,
first
it's
chapter.
Karthika at plus
Meanwhile,
244.
Hanukya's win
One
condition
explosive
is
push, one late
creative.
burst.
Either
She
turn
doesn't just
minus
close the gap,
1430 into
she
the prequel
slingshots
to an
straight into
all-time
first
comeback,
before the clock can
or
blink.
into the
No
slide
big
deck for a
wins
very
over
long risk
500
management
yet.
meeting.
No fresh
54
implosions
minutes to
past
go.
the big loss line,
Siddharth,
but the potential
Karthika,
is sitting
Shebin,
there in every
Rahul flying the
untouched
green.
symbol.
Barnum,
One oversized
Roshan,
order, and
Chinukya wearing
someone's
the
quiet
red.
day one
One
becomes
brave
an
late
instant
session
legend
volley,
or a
and this
horror
calm
story.
dashboard turns into a
Power
full-blown
hour in New
trading
York.
highlight reel.
51 minutes before the bell. At the summit, 7 traders
still
frozen
Siddharth
on the
Pradeep
board.
on
And
318.
this ladder looks less like a
Day
race
one,
and more
game
like
one.
a cliff face.
And he's already
green
planted a green
footholds at the
flag
top
that everyone else
sheer
has to
red
stare
drop
at
for the
at the
next
bottom.
10 sessions.
318 on opening
Shadowing
day is
that
not
lead,
just a nice start.
Karthika Suresh
That is
on
a
plus
full-blown
244.
statement.
No
Drive down the
tags,
field.
no bio,
Siddharth
just a
spiking the ball
clean,
on the goal
efficient
line
number that
and
says,
telling the lobby,
you're one
"This is
mistake
my
away
ladder
from seeing
until
me
you
in
pry it
first."
away."
Plus 244 with under an hour left is that brutal corridor where your finger hovers over the mouse. Lock the profit and breathe, or slam one more sequence and try to rip past 300 into striking distance.
Third spot belongs to Shebin T. Shaji on plus 2, 32.25. Close enough to both Karthika and Siddharth that a single late push could redraw the entire top 3 without warning. In fourth, Rahul Davis, sitting on plus 189, a solid, measured green that screams consistency, the kind of line that wins tournaments not with fireworks, but with repetition.
-17 is the I traded all day to owe my broker lunch money zone. Barnum, one competent push and you're free. One ego trade and you're ordering the full tasting menu of regret.
Sixth position, Roshan Palan out of the US, tagged as a moderate risk day trader, carrying -116.3. A drawdown that sits right on the fence between manageable and about to become a story.
-116 with a moderate label is adorable. Roshan's basically wearing a helmet while running headfirst into a wall and saying, "It's fine, I'm responsible." Power Hour decides if that helmet holds.
From Siddharth's +318 down to Hanukya's nearly -1,500, the spread is over 1,700 points. One session of clicking has already carved a canyon through this 11-day tournament. For Siddharth, the question is brutal in its simplicity. 318 banked and safe, or reach for that 500-point big win line and risk turning a masterpiece into a cautionary tale in the final minutes.
Hanukya's playbook is a little more binary. Either you freeze that -1484 and call it the origin story of an epic comeback, or you keep clicking and we start measuring losses in seasons instead of points.
This is it. Power Hour. 51 minutes remaining. Siddharth, Karthika, Sheben, Rahul, glowing green, Barnum, Roshan, Chanukya in the red trenches. One courageous sequence from any of them, and that calm dashboard erupts like a stadium at the buzzer.
Front and center is still Siddharth Pradeep at +318, the pace car of day one. Everyone else is not just trading charts, they're trading against that number, burned into the top of the screen.
+244 on the board and locked in the second. Karthika is one clean drive away from turning this into a head-to-head photo finish for the day one crown. 232 and holding bronze. Sheben is right there in the slipstream. One perfectly timed push, and third place turns into a full blast title charge. Don't sleep on +189. Rahul is one hot streak away from jumping straight into that top three fist fight and turning this calm ladder into chaos.
-17 is that special place where you're not losing big enough to quit, but you're losing just enough to keep clicking. Barnum, that's how just one more trade turns into a cautionary tale.
Sixth spot belongs to Roshan Palan from the US, tagged as a moderate risk day trader and sitting at -116.3. A drawdown that stings, but still well inside comeback territory over an 11-day series.
-1516 on day one with a big loss line at -500. Chanukya didn't just cross it. He sprinted past, set up camp, and started giving tours of what moderate risk does not look like.
For Siddharth, the question is brutal and simple. Protect the 318 or chase glory. That 500-point big win mark is just far enough away to tempt him, just close enough to feel reachable in one brave sequence.
Meanwhile, Chanukya's playbook is not that complicated. Either lock in an epic -1500 opening chapter, or hit the gas again and see if you can speed run to the Risk Manager Wants a Word segment of this story.
We've got leaders frozen in green, stragglers soaking in red, and a clock that refuses to slow down. One burst of orders from any of these seven, and this quiet dashboard turns into a highlight montage in seconds.
48 minutes to the close. Siddharth, Karthika, Sheben, Rahul glowing green, Barnum, Roshan, Chanukya blazing red. One gutsy push from any of them, and this calm ladder flips like a last-second game winner at the buzzer.
Final 44 minutes in New York, and this 7-trader ladder feels like a pressure cooker with a lid welded shut. No new alerts, no fresh candles, just numbers daring someone to touch them before the bell.
Leader's box, still owned by Siddharth Pradeep at plus 318. Day 1, and he's already sitting on a scoreboard island, waving at the rest of the field like, y'all bringing a boat or just vibes?
318 is more than a nice number now. It's a decision point. Does Siddharth lock the vault and coast to the close? Or does he open the door one more time and reach for that 500-point thunderclap?
In the silver lane, Karthika Suresh at plus 244. Still stalking that top slot. Still one clean push away from turning this into a photo finish sprint at the wire. She's the shadow Siddharth can't ignore. Third place, Shabin T. Shaji, plus 232.25. Deep in the green and lurking. 200 on the board, day 1 says, I don't need to win the opener. I just need to stay in striking range for the whole series.
Plus 189 with power hour ticking is exactly where scalper brain goes wild. Do I lock this in and sleep happy? Or do I press for that 200 plus flex and risk getting whacked by one rogue candle?
The story up top is control. 4 traders, all solidly green, each weighing the same question. Protect what you've built, or gamble for a day 1 statement that might echo through the next 10 sessions.
Minus 17 in power hour is the danger zone of ego. You're just red enough to want it back, but not red enough to respect the market. That's how you turn mild inconvenience into why is my PnL on fire. Anchoring the bottom, Chanukya Varma Dasetti at minus 1611.3. Moderate risk, by the way. Apparently the risk model didn't account for hold my drink entries into every landmine on the chart.
From Siddharth's plus 318 peak to Chanukya's minus 1600 crater, this ladder now spans nearly 2,000 points, a canyon carved in a single trading day, with 11 total still on the schedule. Quiet leaderboards are deceptive. Under the stillness, there's FOMO building in the green traders and revenge buzzing in the red ones, all waiting for a single excuse to explode into one last barrage of orders.
44 minutes to go. Big win line still parked at plus 500. Big loss at minus 500. And every untouched mouse click is a potential rocket or landmine. This is the part of the game where discipline and greed start throwing elbows.
Power hour shrinking to its final 41 minutes. 7 traders locked on the board. This is the phase where discipline, not dreams, usually decides who sleeps easy after day 1.
318 on day 1 and still wearing the crown. Siddharth isn't just leading, he's basically hanging a come get me banner over the entire ladder.
Plus 244 with 41 minutes left is danger zone mentality. Karthika's one impulse click away from either stealing the spotlight or yeeting that comfy green straight back to flat.
Third belongs to Shabin T. Shaji at plus 230, 2.25. Firmly profitable, but just a short swing away from either charging at the leaders or getting dragged back toward Rahul's orbit.
Don't sleep on Rahul at plus 189. One late surge, and he catapults straight into metal contention, turning his tidy green day into a statement opener.
Minus 17 is that special place where you're not blown up, Barnum. You're just paying tuition to the market for a class you definitely didn't sign up for. Minus 116 with a moderate risk badge is basically the market saying, nice training wheels, Roshan. Shame about that downhill slope you picked.
At the bottom, Chanukya Varma Dasetti, also US, also moderate day trader, deep in the red at minus 1700 plus, beyond the big loss threshold, into the realm where every tick feels personal. No new alerts, no fresh spikes, but the structure is brutal. 4 riders coasting in green, 3 bruised in red, and 41 minutes left for someone to decide whether today is about survival or glory.
Meanwhile, Chanukia at minus 1700 doesn't need nitro. He needs a seatbelt and maybe a timeout. Day 1 shouldn't look like the after photo of a risk management seminar.
41 minutes to the bell, and the event feed is eerily still. No volume spikes, no fresh rank swings, just 7 cursors hovering over the mouse, wondering if the next click is worth the risk. Day 1, Power Hour. 7 names on the board and 41 minutes left. Either this ladder drifts quietly into the close, or someone lights a fuse, and we watch the entire hierarchy reshuffle in a single, desperate burst. 38 minutes left in the New York session. 7 traders on the ladder. And this Day 1 story is suddenly very simple. 4 hanging on to green, 3 marinating in red, and nobody brave enough to light up the event feed. Yet. Just beneath, Karthika Suresh at plus 244, holding second. No tags, no flare, just a quiet pile of green saying, if the leader flinches, I'm right there to collect the slip.
232 on the board, and Shabin is basically a single highlight away from crashing the title conversation. It would only take one slick power hour sequence to turn third place into a full-blown upset bid. Don't sleep on plus 189. Rahul is just one heater away from vaulting into the podium and turning this quiet green day into a statement sprint right at the finish.
Minus 17 is the could have just gone for a walk zone. Barnum, you didn't blow up the account, you just paid a cover charge to watch everyone else trade from the lobby.
6th is Roshan Palan from the US, tagged as a moderate risk day trader, but sitting at minus 116.3, a drawdown that whispers it was supposed to be a quick scalp and then never bounced.
Minus 1600 on a moderate profile is incredible. Chanukia didn't just hit the minus 500 warning. He treated it like a speed bump and kept flooring it through the risk management sign.
And that's the wild part. No new alerts, no volume spikes, no rank shuffles. Just 7 traders locked in place, staring at a dashboard that could erupt if anyone even taps the buy button in these last 38 minutes.
If Siddharth leans in and stretches that 318 toward the 500 mark, Day 1 stops being a good start and becomes a broadcast message to the whole field. You're chasing my shadow for 10 more sessions.
Meanwhile, Chanukia's game plan is brutally simple. Either lock in minus 1600 as the origin story of a legendary comeback, or spend the next 10 days starring in a very long risk control seminar.
And with just 38 minutes left, every untouched position is potential energy. One rushed click from any of these 7, and that quiet leaderboard can whip into chaos with a single candle spike.
We're deep in the power hour now, 35 minutes to the bell, and 7 traders are frozen on this ladder, each one deciding whether this is the night they protect what they've built or gamble it for a legend run.
Look at the top of the board. Siddharth Pradeep still sitting pretty at plus 318. That is a Day 1 throne. Velvet rope around it, and everyone else is stuck outside trying to bribe the bouncer.
Plus 318 with only 35 minutes left creates a classic dilemma. Do you become the guardian of that stack and coast, or the villain who presses for more and risks a last-minute collapse?
Right behind, Karthika Suresh perched at plus 244. She is that rival team down a single possession with the clock bleeding out. One clean drive away from smashing straight into that number 1 spot. But plus 232 on Day 1 is no joke. Shebin is just one breakout sequence from turning this into a triple threat cage match for the crown before the bell even rings.
Then there's Barnum Saharia in fifth at minus 17.4. That's the I paid tuition zone. Not a disaster, just enough red to remind you the market charges a cover fee. Minus 17 is that annoying level where you're not blown up enough to quit, but you're just red enough to be tempted into one more I'll fix it trade before the bell. That one never backfires, right? Minus 116 on moderate risk is like driving with a seatbelt on while flooring it. Technically safe, emotionally expensive. One clean trade and you're free. One revenge entry and your roommate shopping at the bottom. Minus 1654 on day one with a moderate tag. That's not risk management, that's a plot twist. The big loss line is minus 500. You didn't cross it, you built a highway and did laps.
And the wildest part? The event feed is dead quiet. No fresh spikes, no symbols going thermonuclear. Just 7 traders staring at these numbers, wondering if one last click is going to be a medal or a meme.
For Siddharth, every untouched button is safety, but also opportunity. He knows the big win marker glows up at plus 500, and crossing it on day one would echo through the next 10 sessions.
Down in last.
Remember, this is
Hanuki's win
just day
condition is
one
pretty clear.
of 11.
Either shut it down and
Choices
turn minus
made in these
1654 into the
35
prologue of an
minutes
all-time comeback,
Won't just move
or
today's
fire one more
PnL.
tilt trade and start
They'll
pricing in
shape
a sequel.
psychology,
With the big loss trigger
confidence,
sitting at
and
minus
risk
500
appetite
and the big
for
win
the
beacon at
rest
plus
of the
500,
tournament.
every trader on
Power
the board
hour.
knows one oversight move
35
right now
minutes to go.
could rewrite their entire
Siddharth,
arc before day
Karthika,
2 even opens.
Shebin,
Power
Rahul
hour in
flying
full
green.
swing.
Barnum,
32 minutes
Roshan,
until the bell.
Chanukia
And
battling
this
red.
7-seat ladder is
brave
frozen
sequence
like a
from any of them.
paused replay.
This calm
No
dashboard
new
detonates
events on the feed,
into a day
just
one highlight reel.
PnL numbers
Right
daring
now, the
someone to make
scoreboard
the
belongs
next
to
mistake
one name,
or masterpiece.
Siddharth Pradeep,
For
on plus
Siddharth,
318,
this isn't just a
sitting
green
on the
number.
throne and
It's a
basically telling the
choice.
lobby,
Protect the
first day,
300 plus
first
cushion
flex.
and coast into
Come
game
take
2,
it if you're brave
or
enough.
reach for that
You know that
500
mouse is
big
hovering
win
over the buy
milestone
button. 32
and
minutes,
risk turning
green
a
stack in the
statement
bank,
day
and every
into a
tiny tick on the ladder
cautionary
is
tale.
screaming. One more push.
And look at the
Just
pressure
one
coming
more.
from behind.
What could possibly go wrong?
Karthika Suresh in second
Karthika
at plus
is the quiet
244.
problem here.
Just a solid drive
style
away
tag,
from turning
no
this
risk
into a
label,
photo finish
just
for the
clean
day
green
one crown.
numbers and a
If
runway of
Karthika
11
fires just
tournament
one late
days
sequence,
that could turn
that
this modest
244 can
gap
sling towards
into a
300 in
long,
a heartbeat.
slow hunt
And
for
suddenly,
the leader.
Siddharth's comfy cushion starts looking like a
Third
seatbelt
place
in a
is
crashing
no
car.
consolation
For
prize today.
Shebin, this is the
Shebin T.
razor's
Shaji
edge,
on plus
close enough to the top that
232.25,
every small decision
sitting
could
right
mean a
in striking
climb into
range
the
of silver
spotlight
and
or
maybe
a
even
slip
eyeing that
back into
gold
the
if
mid-pack
chaos
shadows
breaks out above.
before the closing bell. Rahul's
Look
line
at that
is the
top
blueprint
quartet,
of
plus
longevity.
318,
Less
plus
fireworks,
244,
more
plus
foundation.
232, plus
If he keeps
189.
stacking days like
This
this,
isn't random
he doesn't
green.
need to win
This
the
is a
sprint.
full-blown
He just
leaderboard
needs
brawl,
to survive
just waiting for
the
someone to
marathon.
swing first.
Then you scroll down to fifth
Barnum
and see
sits in
Barnum
that
Saharia at
dangerous
minus
middle ground,
17.4.
barely red,
That's not a
close enough
disaster,
to
that's
flat
just the market
that
charging
one
tuition
forced
for
trade
overtrading
could
boredom.
either clear the
Sixth
slate
place,
or open the
Roshan
trap door
Palan
to
out of the
something
US.
much uglier.
Moderate risk day trader,
For
sitting on
Roshan,
minus
this is still
116.3.
salvageable.
Moderate risk,
Minus
aggressive
116
outcome,
is a bruise,
classic
not a
combo.
break.
And then there's the
One
basement.
disciplined late
Kanukia
sequence,
Varma
and
Dassetti,
he could walk into
US
day
day
2
trader,
essentially
moderate
even,
risk,
mentally
down a
and on
jaw-dropping
the
minus
board. Hanukia's
1766.8.
number sits miles
Moderate
past
risk
the
apparently doesn't apply
500
to
big
clicking the
loss
sell button.
threshold.
From
That's
plus
not a small
318 at the
stumble.
top to
That's a
almost minus
crater
1800
carved
at
on
the
day
bottom.
1
The
that
spread
will
across
echo
this
through
ladder is
every
a roller
risk
coaster.
decision for the rest of this
1700
tournament.
points of proof that one session
And
can
remember,
rewrite an entire
we're only
storyline.
on day 1
The
of
event
11.
feed is quiet.
These opening
No
numbers are
volume
the
spike
pilot
alerts,
episode.
no
And
fresh rank
Siddharth,
jumps.
Karthika,
But that doesn't mean
Shebin,
nothing
and
is
Rahul
happening.
just
It
grab the
means
main
everyone
character
is
roles
wrestling with
with
the
those
same
green
question.
stacks.
Protect what you
32
have.
minutes left. Big win
roll
line
the
up at plus
dice
500.
one last time.
Big loss line down at minus 500.
For the ones already deep
and every
red, that
trader knows
temptation is
one
brutal.
oversized order could
I'm
rocket
down
them
anyway,
into
might
highlight
as well
territory
swing.
or straight into
And
horror
that,
show
folks,
mode.
is exactly how a minus
So here
100
we are,
turns into a story you
7
don't tell your
traders,
risk manager.
32 minutes to close,
Power hour
4
almost spent.
shining green leaders,
29 minutes on the
3
clock.
battered red
And 7
underdogs,
traders are frozen
and
like
1
pieces
silent
on a
dashboard
chessboard.
that could erupt
Green
into chaos
royalty on
with
the
a
high
single
ranks,
all-in
deep
click
red
before the
exiles at the
bell.
base,
Look
all
at that
daring
top
each other
slot,
to make the last
Siddharth
move.
Pradeep with plus
From
318,
here,
still
every
sitting on the
click for
throne like it's
Siddharth
reserved seating.
is a choice
Day
between
1,
protection
he's already
and
turned the
ambition.
leaderboard into his
Guard
personal victory lap.
318, or
And
chase
right on his
something
tail,
closer to
Karthika
that
Suresh at
500-point
244.
statement,
One
and
solid
risk
push,
giving the
one
pack
clean
a way
sequence,
back
and that
in.
gap to first shrinks from
244 on the
comfortable
board,
to oh
and
no,
Karthika
they're
is
in the
parked
rearview
in
mirror
second,
territory
like
in
a
a heartbeat.
striker in the box.
Third
She
belongs
doesn't
to
need a full
Shebin T.
comeback drive,
Shaji
just
with plus
one
2,
perfect chance to smash through that
32.25,
300 wall
securely
and
green,
start leaning
close
on the
enough
leader.
to feel the draft from
In
the front
fourth,
two,
Rahul
but far
Davis
enough that any
at plus
misstep
189
could send him tumbling
He's
into the
not
mid-pack
chasing
crossfire.
fireworks.
He's building a
But don't sleep on
foundation,
that fourth
the
slot.
kind of steady
Rahul
green
is
that
one
doesn't
late
trend
surge
on
away
social
from
feeds,
catapulting into the top
but
3.
quietly
And with
wins
less than half an hour
11-day
left,
campaigns.
any burst he fires now hits the
Minus
standings
17
like a
is the mild
last-minute fast
inconvenience of drawdowns.
Sixth spot,
Barnum didn't blow up.
Roshan Palan
He just bought
from the
himself an
US,
after-hours
a
review session
self-labeled
and a
moderate
very
day
quiet
trader
Uber
sitting
ride
at
home.
minus
Moderate risk and
116.3,
minus
a
116 is
deficit that
basically the
hurts,
platform
but
patting you
still
on the head,
small
Roshan.
enough that a
Could be
disciplined
worse,
push on a good
but
setup
maybe the next
could
half
drag him
hour isn't the
back
time
toward
to discover
neutral.
your inner
At
options,
the very
DJ.
bottom,
Minus
Chanukya
1758 with a
Varma
moderate tag
Dassetti,
is wild.
also a
Chanukya
US
didn't
moderate
just
day
tap the big
trader,
loss threshold at
marooned
minus
at
500.
minus
He turned it into an exit ramp,
1758.8.
drove past it,
That's
and
not
kept
just
the
below
pedal down.
water. That's
From
several
Siddharth's
floors
plus
down the
318
elevator shaft
at the top.
to
And
Chanukya's
yet,
minus
the event
over
feed is silent.
1700
No
at the
fresh
base.
breakouts, no new
The
volume
ladder
spike.
spans more than
Just 7 traders
2,000
staring at their
points.
PnL
That's
like
an
it might
entire
move if they squint
tournament's
hard
worth of
enough in the last
variance
29 minutes.
squeezed into a
This is
single
the calm
afternoon.
before either
For
glory
Siddharth,
or
the
disaster.
question is legacy.
Anyone up top
Lock
who
in a
dares to
strong
push
opening
could
score
ride a
and
late
force
move
everyone to
toward
chase for
that
10
plus
more
500
days,
hero line.
or risk it all
And
on
anyone
one
in the
last
red
shot at a
could
big,
gamble on a miracle
wind-sized
and
cushion
end up in
that
the
could
tournament
define his
blooper
entire
reel.
series.
For Karthika in second,
Clock
this is
slipping
ambush
toward the
territory.
closing bell in New
29
York.
minutes is just enough time for
27
one
minutes
clean push.
left.
If she times
7
it right,
traders
Siddharth
locked
doesn't
on the
get a chance
board,
to answer before
and
the bell
every
slams
number
shut.
you see right now, front and center, might be the one they have to
still
live with
Siddharth
for
Pradeep
the
on
next
plus
10
318.
days.
Chanukya,
Day 1,
meanwhile, is basically
and he's
speed running
already
the risk
turned the
lecture.
top of this ladder into
Minus
his personal
1700 on
balcony,
day 1 doesn't need
looking
more
down at
trades,
the
it needs a
field,
notebook and
trying
maybe
to
a
figure out
therapist.
if they chase
Just
or
below,
retreat. Karthika
Top
Suresh
4
at
glowing
plus
green,
244.
bottom 3 flashing
No
red,
labels,
and
no
the big
style
win and
tags,
big loss
just
lines
raw
lurking just
performance
beyond.
sitting one solid
One
push
brave
away
volley from
from
any seat
turning
on
this
this ladder,
quiet chase
and day
into
1
a
turns
genuine
into a
threat to
full-blown
the throne.
highlight reel. Right
Plus
at the 232 on day 1
Fourth
means
place,
Shabin is one
Rahul
clean
Davis
drive
on
away from
plus
crashing the
189,
leaders party.
solidly
He's not
green,
just in the
almost
conversation.
conservative by
He's standing at the
comparison.
door with
The
his
kind
hand
of
on the
measured
handle.
opening
Don't
that can
sleep on
quietly
plus
snowball
189.
across an
Rahul
11-day
is sitting on a
campaign.
springboard position.
Then the gradient
One
flips to
aggressive late
red.
push,
Fifth
and he can flip
place,
this from
Barnum
steady opener
Sahadia
to
at
top 3
minus
ambush before
17.4,
anyone adjusts
hovering
their
just
risk.
below the surface.
Minus 17
One
is that special
disciplined
zone where you're
opportunity
not
away
wrecked.
from clawing
You're just
back to
paying tuition.
air, or one
Barnum
lapse
basically spent
away
the session
from
buying a
joining the
textbook that
deep
says,
end.
maybe don't force
Sixth
trades in
position,
power hour.
Roshan
Roshan's
Palan
label
from the
says
US,
moderate risk.
tagged
The
as a
PnL
moderate
says
risk
minus
day
116.
trader, sitting at
That's the
minus
trading equivalent of wearing a
116.3,
seatbelt while
a
drifting
number
corners
that
in the rain
hurts, but
and
still
hoping the
small
airbag
enough
counts
to be
as a
rewritten
strategy.
with a single
Minus
inspired afternoon
1756 on day
sometime
1 with a
this
moderate
tournament.
tag is wild.
From Siddharth's
Chanukya
plus
basically took the
318 at
500-point
summit
big loss
to
threshold,
Chanukya's
sprinted
minus
past it, and
1756
kept going
in
just
the
to see
valley.
what the terrain looked like.
This ladder now spans
And the crazy
more
part,
than 2,000
the event feed is
points.
still flat.
A
No
full
fresh
tournament's
spikes,
worth
no
of
rank
emotional
swaps.
range
Just 7
in a
traders
single
staring at the
revenue.
same numbers and
For
arguing with
Siddharth, that
themselves
question
about
is
whether one
especially
last sequence
sharp.
is worth the psychological
Guard the
bruise if
plus
it goes wrong.
318
If
and
Siddharth
enter
finds
tomorrow
one
as
more
the
clean
clear
lane
target.
and drives
Or
that
reach
number
for that
closer
500
to
big
plus
win
500,
line and risk
this
trading
doesn't stay
comfort
just a
for
hot
legend
start.
on the very
It
first
becomes a
day.
scoreboard
Down at minus
billboard that says,
1756,
You're
Kanukia's
chasing me
decision tree is pretty
for the
simple.
rest of this series.
Lock the disaster in as the opening
No big
chapter of a
wins have
heroic
crossed
comeback,
that plus
or
500
keep clicking until
threshold
the risk
yet,
team starts
but the
drafting
potential
motivational
energy
emails.
is
Top
everywhere.
4 glowing
One
green,
oversized
bottom 3
decision from
burning
any
red.
trader,
This
green
ladder
or
has
red,
turned into a
and
split
this
screen
tranquil
drama,
dashboard
and all it takes
becomes
is
a
one
case study
wild
in
final
risk
charge
for the
for
rest of the
someone to
field.
die from safety
Power
into
hour
chaos,
slipping away in New
or
York.
rocket,
24
pain
minutes on the
into
tournament
glory.
clock. 7 traders lit on the dashboard, and this ladder the view has hardened into 318. The green
sturdy
elite
green pillar
and the
on
red
day one.
recovery squad. The kind of opening salvo
318
that
on the
turns
board
every
from the
future
jump.
session into a
Siddharth
chase
didn't
scene.
just show up.
Right
He
in the
kicked the door off the
slipstream,
hinges
Karthika
and turned day
Suresh
one
holds second
into his
at
personal
plus
end zone dance.
244.
That's
No
a statement
tags,
lead
no
in a
labels,
field this small.
just pure
Plus
efficiency.
244,
Sitting close
and
enough
breathing down
that
the
any
champion's
wobble
neck.
from the leader could swing
Karthika
this
is one
entire
clean
ladder.
push away,
In third,
turning this into a
Shabin T.
photo finish
Shaji
sprint
at
at
plus
the bell. And the clock says
232.25,
there's
solidly
just enough
green and
time
lurking.
to send
The
it.
kind of position where one
232 on
well-timed
day
burst
one,
could
and
catapult him
still
straight
only
into
a
the
drive
title
behind the
conversation.
podium top. Sheben
Fourth
is
place
literally
belongs to
one hot
Rahul
sequence
Davis
away
with
from
plus
turning this ladder
189.
into a
Quietly
three-way brawl for
competent,
first.
nothing flashy,
Don't
but
sleep
the
on
kind
that
of
plus
consistent
189.
green that can
Rahul is
grind
one
an
little
entire
flurry of
tournament
filth
in his
from punching
favor
straight into
if
the
he
mid
keeps
200s.
stacking
And with
days
24
like
minutes
this.
left, those scalps add up
Then the
fast.
colors
Minus
invert.
17 is that annoying
Fifth
zone
place,
where you're not actually
Barnum
broken, Barnum.
Sahadia at
You're
minus
just paying tuition because you
17.4,
refused to hit the flat
just
button when
below
the
the
market said
surface.
we're done here.
One or two disciplined trades
sixth,
away
Roshan
from clawing
Palan
back to
out of the
neutral
US.
before the bell. Tagged as a moderate
Moderate
day
risk,
trader,
minus
sits at
116.
minus
Roshan basically
116.3.
wrapped himself in
A
bubble wrap,
drawdown that
then ran full
stings,
speed into
yet
the
still
wall
leaves
anyway.
the door open for a
One good run
disciplined
fixes it.
late
One
session
tilt
rescue.
click and he's auditioning for the
And
deep red
anchoring
club.
the ladder.
Minus
Chanukya Varma
1842 with a
Dasetti,
moderate tag.
also US,
Chanukya didn't cross the
also
500
moderate,
big loss line.
buried at
He
minus
built a summer home on the other side
1,842.3.
and started renting out rooms to other
So
bag
far
holders.
below the line
From
that the big
Siddharth's
loss
plus
threshold
318
looks like a distant
all the way
memory.
down
to Hanukya's
And
minus
yet, the event feed is
1842.
ice cold.
The
No
spread
news
on this
spikes,
ladder
no last-second
stretches
heroics.
over
Just 7 traders staring at that
2,150
24-minute
points.
countdown,
A
wondering if they
canyon
dare touch
carved
another
in a
button
single
on day
New
one.
York
for
afternoon.
Siddharth.
Plus
If
318
Siddharth finds
against
one
a
more clean
500 big
drive
win marker
and shoves
poses
that
the
PnL
classic
toward the
dilemma.
500
Protect the
milestone,
crown you've built,
he doesn't just
or
win
risk it
day
all
one.
to engrave your name
He
in
plants a
neon on the
giant
opening
green
scoreboard.
billboard that says,
Meanwhile, Hanukya's win
"This
condition
is
is pretty
my
straightforward.
tournament to lose."
Either stop clicking
7
and turn
traders,
minus 1842
0
into
fresh
law,
alerts,
or keep
24
firing and
minutes
test
to
the
the
structural
closing
limits
bell.
of the loss column.
This is the kind of
You can
compressed
almost feel the
silence
fingers
where
hovering
one
over
reckless
hotkeys.
decision
Do they
or
squeeze out
one
one more
surgical
scalp,
entry
or let these
can
PnL
redraw
numbers
the
stand up
entire
the opening
ladder
chapter for the
before
next 10
anyone
days
has
of
time
war?
to blink.
Power hour, 24 minutes left. Siddharth, Karthika, Sheben, Rahul shining in green, Barnum, Roshan, Chanukya fighting the red. One bold sequence from any of them, and this quiet dashboard detonates into a day one highlight reel.
Power hour in its final stretch, 21 minutes to the bell, and this 7-trader ladder is frozen in place, like the whole lobby is holding its breath over the close position button. Up top, Siddharth Pradeep still commands the field at plus 318, a tidy green tower in a session where the big win line sits all the way up at plus 500, daring him to reach for just a little more.
318 on day one and still in pole position. Siddharth is cruising with the hazards on, telling the rest of the pack, if you want this throne, you're going to have to floor it through the closing bell.
Just below, Karthika Suresh holds second at plus 244. No tags, no notes, just silent numbers saying, I'm one clean sequence away from rewriting the headline before the close.
232 and sitting on the podium. Sheben's basically in field goal range here. One sharp drive, and that bronze badge can flip into a late day charge for the crown.
Don't sleep on that plus 189 though. Rahul is literally one hot streak away from teleporting into the top 3 and turning this chill opener into a 4-player knife fight.
-17 is the I stayed all day so I wouldn't feel like I wasted the day tier. Barnum, at this point, you're just buying emotional damage and platform fees.
6th is Roshan Palan from the US, moderate risk day trader, sitting at -116.3. A sizable bruise, but still in the realm where one disciplined push could pull him back toward neutral.
Big loss threshold is -500, and Kanukia just speed ran straight to -1753. This isn't a drawdown. This is a full season arc in one afternoon.
And that's the wild part. No new alerts, no volume spikes. Just 7 traders staring at a silent dashboard while their brains simulate every possible last-minute catastrophe.
So what does Siddharth do now? Park that plus 318 and walk into day 2 as the defending champ? Or fire one more drive at that 500-point milestone and try to blow this tournament wide open on the very first day? Don't forget Shabin at plus 232, third place right now. But if the top 2 start playing not to lose, he's perfectly positioned to smash through with a last-minute green drive and turn this into an underdog story.
11 total days, but only 21 more minutes in this opening window. Every trader has to choose right now. Protect what's on the board, or gamble for a statement that echoes across the remaining sessions. "16 minutes from the bell in New York, power hour hitting its final stretch, and 7 traders are frozen in place. No fresh events, no late fireworks yet, just a leaderboard daring someone to touch it before time runs out. Up top, Siddharth Pradeep is parked at plus 318, the lone resident of the high ground on day 1. Staring at a 500 big win line that's close enough to tempt him and far enough to punish any late greed.
318 in the bank on opening day. Siddharth has basically built a VIP lounge at the top of this ladder. Feet up, scoreboard glowing, and everyone else has to decide if they want to storm the castle in the last quarter hour. Plus 244 with 16 minutes to go. Karthika is the classic spoiler here. One well-timed push, and suddenly, Siddharth's comfy lead turns into a photo finish right as the clock hits 0.
In 4th, Rahul Davis with plus 189. Less flashy, more methodical. The kind of steady green that doesn't headline day 1, but often decides who's still in contention when day 11 arrives.
-17 is the annoyed but still watching Netflix zone. You're not wrecked, Barnum, you're just paying a small tax for the privilege of being irritated at your own mouse.
Sixth is Roshan Palan from the US, moderate risk day trader, sitting at minus 116.3. Deep enough in the red to sting, but not so far that a clean endgame sequence couldn't drag this back toward neutral. Anchoring the bottom rung, Chanukya Varma Dasetti from the US, labeled moderate risk but carrying minus 1894.8. A drawdown so heavy it turns the lower half of the ladder into a warning sign for everyone else.
And what's wild is the event feed is flat. No new trades firing, no volume spikes, no rank jumps. Just 7 traders staring at a clock that says 16 minutes and a PnL that could still swing hundreds either way with one bad click.
Meanwhile, Chanukya's choice is easy. Either lock in almost minus 1900 as the origin story of the greatest comeback arc ever, or keep clicking and turn this into a safety training slide deck for the rest of the field.
No big wins over 500, no fresh big losses today beyond Chanukya's crater. But the threat is still there. Every unopened order ticket in these last 16 minutes is a potential 4-tier event just waiting to explode onto this dashboard. Day 1 of 11, 16 minutes from the close, and the story is written in restraint. No new events, just a ladder stretched between Siddhartha's control at the top and Chanukya's wreckage at the bottom, waiting to see if anyone dares to rewrite their chapter at the buzzer. We are inside the final 12 minutes of day 1. 7 traders on the tower, and the scoreboard is frozen in time. No fresh events, just a silent standoff between courage and capital as the closing bell creeps closer. At the very top, Siddharth Pradeep R. sits on a pristine plus 318, the inaugural benchmark of this 11-day climb. Every tick from here to the finale will either defend or dethrone that number.
Plus 318 on opening day and still wearing the crown. Siddharth just turned day 1 into a statement game, planning himself as the player everyone else has to chase for 10 more sessions. 244 in second and breathing down the ladder. Karthika just locked in a legit contender score, the kind of green that says, I'm not a cameo in Siddharth's story, I'm co-headlining this tournament.
Fourth belongs to Rahul Davis at plus 189. A clean, controlled opener, the kind of green that doesn't win a highlight reel today, but quietly builds a championship over 11 trading windows.
Minus 17 is the mildly offended bracket. Barnum didn't really lose money, he just paid a cover charge to remember that scalping the close isn't always a main character moment.
Sixth is Roshan Palan out of the US, tagged as a moderate risk day trader, but sitting at minus 116.3. A hole that's painful, yet perfectly sized for a redemption swing on any given afternoon. Anchoring the bottom rung, Chanukya Varma Dasetti from the US at a staggering minus 1,892.3. A drawdown so deep it turns every remaining session into a comeback epic or a cautionary tale. This is the paradox of the closing stretch. No trades means no new damage, but it also means locking in every regret and every missed opportunity until the window opens again tomorrow. 4 traders starting green, 3 starting red. The seeds for every future storyline are already here. The steady climber, the early front-runner, the lurking challenger, and the deep drawdown specialist planning a miracle run.
7 names, 0 fresh trades, 11-day arc. This is that weird quiet where you know the real chaos isn't today. It's the first time somebody tries to chase Siddharth's number with size, and the ladder just snaps.
As the final minutes bleed away, this quiet finish is deceptive. Today's numbers become tomorrow's pressure points, and every trader on this board knows the real battle for the elevator has only just begun. Eight minutes on the clock in New York. Power hour almost spent, and this 7-player ladder looks like a still photograph. But every trader staring at that dashboard knows one impulsive click could turn it into a car crash or a coronation.
Right now, the crown belongs to Siddharth Pradeep at plus 318, day 1. And he's already sitting on a chunky cushion, strutting on the top rung, while everyone else stares up at that glowing green target.
Plus 318 on day 1 may not hit the 500 monster line yet, but as a benchmark for an 11-session series, it's a statement. Siddharth is basically telling the room, this is the pace if you want to run with me. Fokatika, plus 244 with minutes remaining, is a classic trader's riddle. Lock it in and play the long series, or press the gas and risk flipping a near-perfect opener into a cautionary tale by the closing bell. In fourth, Rahul Davis at plus 189 represents the quiet craft of this field. Solid profit, controlled risk, and a profile that looks built for surviving all 11 days rather than winning a single episode brawl.
Then there's Barnum in fifth at minus 17.4. That special purgatory where you're not bleeding out, but you're annoyed enough to consider one heroic candle that either fixes everything or ruins dinner plans. Sixth place, Roshan Palan from the US at minus 116.3. Day trading, moderate risk, which apparently translates to, I only set myself on fire once per session. Could be worse. Chanukya is right below, taking the full barbecue. Minus 1.9k on day 1 is not a drawdown. That's a Netflix documentary pitch. How I met my risk manager. Somebody frame that PnL and hang it above the risk parameters.
Look at the shape of this board. Top 4 packed with steady green. Bottom 3 lit up in red like a warning label. If anybody punches in a last-minute order, that gap between Rahul and Barnum is the fault line that could crack first. You can almost feel Siddharth doing the math. 318 on the board, 8 minutes to close, no fresh events firing. Does he really want to be the guy who turned a dream start into a meme with one greedy candle at 3:52 p.m.?
But hey, if anyone's still hovering over the buy button with 8 minutes left, just remember, there's a reason the big loss threshold is the same 500 as the big win line. The market does not care which side you wanted.
As the final minutes bleed away, every trader on this ladder has a choice. Chase one last burst of glory or carry today's story into tomorrow's open. The bell is coming, but the tournament has only just taken its first breath. For every number you see right now might be the one that gets etched into day one history. At the very top, Siddharth Pradeep R sits on plus 318, a careful, controlled green that may end up being the benchmark everyone chases for the next 10 sessions.
Plus 318 on opening day and still wearing the crown. Siddharth just turned day one into a statement, telling the whole lobby, catch me if you can, for the next 11 days.
And the wild part? We're in the final 4 minutes, tournament clock ticking down, and Siddharth hasn't made that reckless last second lunge. This is restraint on a scoreboard begging for chaos.
244 on the board, and closing this session in the silver slot, Karthika just sent a very clear memo up the ladder. Enjoy that throne tonight, Siddharth, because I'm right behind you tomorrow.
In fourth, Rahul Davis at plus 189, a quieter kind of success, methodical and controlled, the sort of opening line that often blossoms into a deep tournament run if the discipline holds. Then the board bends from green to red. Fifth place, Barnum Saharia at minus 17.4, a small scratch on day one that's more a warning shot than a wound if he tightens up from here. In sixth, Roshan Palan from the US, tagged as a moderate risk day trader, closing at minus 116.3. A sting, yes, but still within striking distance of a full reset on any given afternoon.
Minus 1842 on day one isn't a dip, Hanukya. That's a full-length origin story. Risk manager says take it slow, and you answered with a speed run to the bottom of the bracket.
From Siddharth's plus 318 at the summit to Hanukya's minus 1842 in the abyss, this ladder now spans more than 2,100 points, an entire canyon carved in just one trading session.
But look at this board. 4 traders in the green, 3 in the red. The opening whistle of an 11-day slugfest where every one of these numbers can swing from hero to disaster in a single afternoon.
For Barnum, Roshan, and Hanukya, the story is different. Day one isn't about glory, it's about resilience, about turning these red marks into motivation instead of momentum for more tilt.